course, you could forget all that and just have fun! Die.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Twizzcast. We're back. It's another week. We're here to bring you all of that news and information and laughs and love underneath that Blizzard Entertainment logo that you know. And it's, we cover all the games. We cover everything from, Warcraft, Hearthstone, Here's the Storm, Diablo, Overwatch, just a ton more. But who are we? Please allow me to make just a few introductions around the horn. Here we go. First and foremost, from the great state of North Dakota, the Southern Belle, that sleeps better at night knowing that the last boss in Heroes of the Storm wasn't her fault. That should be last loss. That last loss isn't your fault either, Reb. It's the wonderful and talented Miss Rebel Floor. Welcome back to the show, my dear. I screwed that up.
Hi, Twizz. Well, I'd like to say, the age-old saying, it's that we win as a team, we lose as a not my fault.
That is right.
I've heard that one.
I got that on my fortune cookie earlier today. So, yes. Very well played. Moving right along. From the city that never, ever sleeps, direct from Las Vegas, Nevada, the man who has a bigger stash than Tom Selleck. Please help me welcome back to the show the demon-slaying master, Diablo 5000, Archon the Wizard. Hello, my good man.
Thank you, Twizz. I think it is true. My stash is probably bigger, but it doesn't have nearly as much Death's Breath.
It's true.
Yeah? See what I did there? Because Death's Breath is like an item.
It is.
Diablo.
I see exactly where you went there.
But it's kind of like breath, too.
Oh my God, guys! It can only get better from here. It can only get better. I promise you. After like another hour and a half, this is going to be the best show you've ever heard in your life. So that's only after I make my final introduction. Obviously, last but certainly not least, this man has enough empty beer bottles in his house to make a hanging wind chime for every house in China. It's the card-slinging Duchess of New York, the legendary Mr. Sexy Stutter. Welcome back for another week of beatings, my good man.
Dude, I'm drinking Labatt Blue Light right here.
Ooh.
This is plugged, guys. Hopefully they'll send me a 30 rack.
That's
plugged. I'm hoping. I'm running out of beer, so get there quick, Labatt.
He needs, over there on Twizzcast there, he needs some more Labatt Blue, eh?
And how about them Packers?
No,
Gotta love the Packers.
As long as he's not those Packers fans there. Oh my God. Well, in case you guys are wondering who is screwing up this rodeo, that would be me. Hello, my name is Twizz, and you can find me on the Kultiris US server on my Orc Shaman and Twisted Legion, playing a little bit of Jaina, a little bit of Sonya in Heroes of the Storm, or working my way up the ladder with a pretty sweet warrior deck that we're going to be featuring later on in this show. You guys can follow all of us on Twitter. I am at TwizzBP. We have at TankThatReb, at Archon the Wizard, and at SexyStutterBP. And obviously, you guys can follow at BlizzPro and hit us up via email, podcast@blizzpro.com. So, first things first, everybody, you can get this show in a couple of different ways. The audio is available on iTunes, where 5-star reviews are absolutely unbelievably appreciated. And the video is on the BlizzPro YouTube channel. So, if that's how you're watching us, thumbs up. Big news right there. Share it with your friends. Tell everybody you love us. And also, if you want to hang out in the live show with our chat room, we go live on twitch.tv/BlizzPro on Monday nights at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. So, guys, we missed last week's episode, and I want to apologize for that. Couple of things. It was a last-minute cancellation. The reason being was, get this, my 5-year-old was at school, and my wife called me, and she's like, oh, we got a problem. And I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, Jackson, my 5-year-old, was laying down on one of his little like comfy pillow things at school for nap time, and he saw this little piece of fuzz hanging out of the mat that he was on, and he grabbed it and he balled it up and he stuck that right up his nose, like far back in his nose.
Sounds about right.
Seriously.
Honestly, Twizz, and everyone else, how many people have had that thought, and I know it's not just me.
I know. I know it. I know it.
The apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
It is true. Not far at all. So, anyways, like, my wife called me and she was, like, hyperventilating. She's like, I don't know what we're going to do. The teacher said he was having trouble breathing and everything like that. And I'm like, oh, okay, let's go. So, we went to the doctor's, or we went to the ER, and then we had to go to another doctor's office and everything like that. They had these scissors that, like, angled at a 90-degree angle, and they stuck it, like, right in his nose, and they had to grab it. But they cut the inside of his nose, so he had nose bleeding, and, 5-year-old is a meltdown. You get a hangnail and you have a meltdown, let alone pulling a piece of cotton the size of your thumbnail out of his nose hole. So, anyway, so guys, I apologize, but last week was meltdown mode with the 5-year-old, and so that was that. But we are back. And we have a mountainous amount of information that we're going to be covering. So let's dive right into what we have been doing this week in gaming. What have we been up to? Reb, why don't you kick it off old school?
Sure thing.
I'm in one of those moods tonight.
Sure thing. So I have been working on this competition, but I shouldn't say competition, this contest to get all 11 classes to max level. However, I have lost my motivation with both of those characters being at level 70 now. So I have 60 levels in total, and I have about 4 weeks to do so. Really about 3 weeks, seeing as BlizzCon's coming up, and that's going to be a whole week by itself that I'm not going to be near my account or want to play. But I really don't have the motivation to knock out the last 60 levels. So I decided to just go back and start playing with my main a little bit. Started playing with the auction house a little bit more, getting some gold, taking care of business, doing my dailies. I actually have been doing the Headless Horseman, trying to do it every day. It doesn't really happen. But trying to do the Headless Horseman just for the mount. And you would think with having 9 max level characters that I would do it 9 times every day and be guaranteed that it would drop at some point during this Hallows End festival, but it's just not happened yet. And unfortunately, we're a week down and a week left, so it's kind of debatable whether I'm going to have it drop for me. But, fingers crossed, prayers appreciated. However, what I've really, really liked about this Hallows End is you being able to purchase the decorations for your garrison. I think that was a superb addition to the game. Being able to do the dailies, in Shadow Moon Valley, to be able to get 1 decoration per day, and there's 5 total, I want to say. Hands down, getting the pumpkins all throughout your garrison is top notch, the best part about it. But if you haven't already, if you invite the seer into your garrison, he's going to have spirits and ghosts flying above the town center and a little bit throughout here and there. But it's really been a ton of fun and something cool and pretty nifty that they implemented, and I greatly appreciate it. It's kind of like a novelty aesthetic thing, and I really can't wait for them to add the Christmas features, when Winter's Veil comes around. So that's something to look forward to. But really just playing around on my main, getting some gold, kind of ignoring my alts at all costs if I can, trying not to think about the deadline drawing near, has really been my week in gaming. But it's been a ton of fun, and I'm glad I came back to it.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. But, I think I want to say I keep seeing Archon getting on, and wow.
That's true. He's on the crack. He's on it.
Why would I be? Yeah, I'm sorry. I've been bad the last 2 weeks, and I've kind of neglected Diablo.
It happens.
I know. I feel horrible, but Reb's right. She called me out. I've gotten sucked back into the craft, and I can't get off it. So I've been leveling with some friends. I've been loving the Time Walker instances, except for the fact that when I first got back into WoW, I had a stack of gold because I sold some of those epics right when the expansion came out, and people were paying way too much for them. And I was like, I'm gonna go and get myself some gear so I can get right back in there, and I'm not that noob that's under geared. And I spent a ton of money on like 665 items.
What?
And then I saw Time Walker instances and realized in like 15 minutes you can get like 675 pieces.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculously easy. I was so mad. It was like out 20,000 gold that I could have put into my heirloom collection
See, I didn't even know that you had max level 100s.
Yeah, I mean, when Warlords came out, I rushed to 100. I got there in like a few days, and I played for like a few months. But then Garrisons felt like the homework I had to do before I could play the game.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't want to do this,
They
but
were
I
the
don't want to
bounty.
be inefficient, so I guess I'm out.
So you're Alliance, right?
Yeah,
Okay, I'm gonna have to faction change one of mine so that way I can play with you and Reb.
that's right. Come to the dark side, or I guess light side.
The
but-
lighter side.
Yeah.
The pinker side.
The lame side.
The golden blue.
Yeah. Well, we converted Reb. We can convert you too.
Ah.
Yeah. Yeah, if you could convert me to Alliance, no problem.
Well, here's the thing. It's my wallet that has to be convinced of the converting.
Like all 18 characters have to come over.
No, you might get one.
I've spent $400 on server transfers. I looked. Blizzard shows you that. I don't know why, because I was just like,
Because they just want to taunt you with how much money you've spent
Seriously.
for
Yeah.
no apparent reason.
Seriously. Seriously.
Hey,
dude.
Archon, check out $400. I wonder if we can get another 200.
Heck,
I know, right?
You know, Archon, that could actually be a really good diet for losing weight. Just look at how much you've spent on server transfers alone, and then you just throw everything back up.
Yeah.
Just because it makes you so sick.
Absolutely.
That's a good point. It probably would induce vomiting.
However, your cost of keyboards is going to go up significantly. So, just throwing that out there.
So yeah, I used up a lot of my time on WoW, and the rest of the time, I'm going to talk about it later, but just real quick, was on Overwatch, because we got some Overwatch live streams and a lot of news leading up to the beta coming out tomorrow, and me and my brothers are making a website, overwatchbros.com.
Do it.
And so, I'll talk more about Overwatch later, but I've spent like a ton of time. I've learned a lot about it, and I'm really scared, guys, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to stop playing. I think my life might be over as of tomorrow, and I'm okay with it.
That's fine. That's fine.
Did you guys ever hear about that StarCraft guy? This was a long time ago, who played like StarCraft like 72 hours straight and then just
Died.
just kicked the bucket.
Yeah.
That's sad, but that's commitment.
Have you made funeral plans already, Archon? I mean, you're gonna have some amazing 72 hours, I'm assuming, but
Worth it. Yeah, I've written my will. No, we shouldn't joke about that. That's like fairly common. It's crazy. What I have learned is if you shake your legs a lot, you're safer. It's like a true thing. No, I read that. There was like an article, like people who like twitch and shake their legs, it combats some of the unhealthiness of sitting for long periods of time. Not all of it. You might still die.
I think that's a byproduct of it.
yeah, it's a byproduct of drinking that much caffeine.
Seriously. Makes it impossible to hit the raid bottle, too.
But yeah, that's about it for me. What about you, Stutter? You been knocking back some beers in Hearthstone?
I've been playing a little bit of Hearthstone. I got to rank 5 again, and I was like, meh, I don't want to go without win streaks.
I can't live without them.
Yeah, and it was like, so I played until I hit rank 6, and then I hit rank 6, and then I played until I hit rank 5 again. I'm like, all right, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
And then I switched to heroes, and I played a lot of Sonya.
Yeah.
She makes that awesome leap noise, even though I don't use the leap noise. Yeah, how fun is that noise? I don't use
It's
it.
fun to say. I tell you what, when I play Sonya, regardless, I'm sitting there doing it to myself as I'm doing it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't take leap, but I still do the sound just because I like it.
You know.
I'm
you
with
do.
you, Stutter.
You know.
Yeah,
you do.
yeah. I mean, Wrath of Berserker's so good these days. And you're just Wing all day. You're just erasing people off the map. I don't know. I'm excited about it.
I'm excited for you. I look at that look on your face, and it's just like,
I know.
I'm happy for you. So.
You ever wake up and you have a good day? Today wasn't
Never.
that day.
Never.
Yeah, that wasn't today.
Yeah, that wasn't today. It was like, it was awful. It was awful, but that's for another time. Twizz, how's your gaming going?
My gaming. Well, I have also been on the Warcraft train in a big way. I sat down and I was like, you know what? Like, I don't like leveling. I don't. I hate, go kill 50 of these and go turn in 30 of these. And then you know that dude that's all the way on the other side of the map? You need to go find him and turn this quest in for 1 gold. And it's I hate it. I hate leveling. And so I saw this guide for and it uses the Elixir of the Rapid Mind. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, here's the basics of it. The Elixir of the Rapid Mind, it comes off of a garrison quest. And they're not soulbound. You can craft them and trade them if you've completed that garrison quest. And they go for big bucks on the auction house, depending on what server you're on. On my server, they weren't too bad. So what they do is they increase the amount of experience you get by 300% for 15 minutes. So what people are doing is they go to the Tanan jungle, Biff Tannen, however you want to call it. And
you just say Tanan.
Tanan. Okay.
Tanan.
God. Anyways, you all whatever. You all know what I'm talking about. You go there and you do all the bonus objectives except for killing one thing. So I think there's like 5 or 6 there. And then when you kill the elite mobs or the rare mobs or whatever they are, you get a quest that you go to turn in. So what you do is you go ahead of time and you get all these quests to turn in, but you don't turn them in yet. You go around and do all the bonus objectives except for killing that one last thing. So if you need to kill 14 scorpions or whatever, you kill 13 of them and leave 1 there. So you leave 1 of each of the bonus objectives. Then you go to where you turn in all the quests from the elites that you killed that drop the quest item, and there's like 6 or 7 quests. You stand there, you pop this elixir, and you're on a clock, 15 minutes, and your XP is increased by 300%. You turn in all those quests, and then you go over and you kill the last mob and all the bonus objectives, and in 15 minutes you'll go from level 92 to like 97 or 98.
Holy bejesus.
Yeah. So,
wow, that's what I got to do.
Yeah. So I sat down and I was like, I'm going to do this. And you can do this without flying, but I was told it's a lot better if you have flying. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to start doing the Pathfinder achievement. Well, guess who is not very far along in that? Me.
I'm going to take Twizz for 5,000, Alex.
Yeah, that's right. So
Twizz, I'm with you. I was with Reb on this. I was like, I think this is cool. And then when I went to do it for myself, I changed my opinion. Mm-hmm. It was too much. I got to go back and do like every quest in the game. No.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go for it because other than the exploration and the rep, I pretty much have most of it completed. There's one more quest line that I need 2 achievements for, and then I'll just have to do exploration. So I'm going to try and get a hold of a good old Snoop Rebby Reb and see if she can't fly me around for that exploration stuff, and I'll grind out the rep as required. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to just level my druid and my warlock up to 97 because I did buy 2 potions. So
in the past, Twizz, when we were on raid teams together, I mean, I carried you there, but this was literally physically carrying you throughout the game.
It's true.
On my back, helping you with this Pathfinder.
But I led you during those raids, and I had to lead you where to carry me. So it all goes full circle, girlfriend. It really does. But yeah. So big tip of the hat to Reb for helping me. She helped me collect all the treasures and stuff like that, and get a lot of the exploration done. So I'm chipping it away. You can actually, and not trying to advertise for Wowhead or anything like that, but you can check your achievement progress on Wowhead. It asks you for your server and your character name, and it tells you like you are 60% of the way to getting this achievement. You are 100% done with this. You are whatever. So it's kind of a nifty little calculator type deal. But so yeah. Reb sends me this text message, and she's like, "Hey, didn't know if you knew this or not, but you can do these time walking dungeons, and there's a chance of 675 gear dropping off of bosses." And I was like, Psh, "I'm all in." So I did one, and you get these time walking badges. You get 5 off of every boss, and if you forget to loot a boss, it shows up in your mailbox afterwards. I found that out. So I did that, and the very last boss drops a quest that you go and it tells you to go to Dalaran and turn this quest in, and you get these 500 badges and these time walking badges. So I was like, okay, that's cool, whatever. I may as well, So I went to Dalaran, and it was, it was really, really cool flying over Northrend again and seeing all that stuff. I didn't realize like how much I really enjoyed that. Like Northrend was just a huge piece of Warcraft chunk that I played. So I went there and I turned the quest in and I saw these things and I was like, the guy you turn it in is a vendor that has item level 675 gear for like 25 badges and 50
yeah, you
badges.
automatically get like 500.
Yeah. So I ended up getting let me see here. I got a 675 ring, a trinket, a chest piece, and a necklace. So, and that bumped my shaman eye level up to 655, which I'm sure there's bigger and better out there. I know that, guys, but I'm late to the Warcraft game, so I'm excited about this stuff personally. But
yeah, it'll get you further into doing the LFRs and seeing the raid content that you haven't got to yet.
And yes, yeah. I'm sorry. I actually, you know what, Rev? I'm not going to try and candy code it. I missed everything you just said because I was trying to find where I was in the show notes.
Okay.
So whatever it was, I'm sure it was
saying
epic.
that it's going to enhance you to be able to get to the portions where you can get the higher item level gear,
absolutely.
whether that be in the LFRs and the raid content you haven't gotten to see, and then also some of the Baleful gear and Tanan.
Yep, absolutely. And also, you know what I got to give a big shout out to a guildie named Ori. Ori was, we raided together in the past. He was a fan of Twizzcast prior to the break, Twizzcast Part 1. And he was like, dude, I got a pair of like 698 boots or something like that. You want them? I'm like, wow. Sure. So they were awesome. I got myself some rockin' boots, and so that put me over the edge because you needed a 650 to get into the last part of the LFR. So I did that. But I was also the butthole that went in and did Headless Horseman twice and got both caster rings. So
yeah, well,
as long as you didn't get them out.
Minutes.
I already had the mount. I already have everything I needed from there. So
I was so excited about those item level 670 rings you can get from Headless Horseman until I realized you can get a 675 ring from the Time Walking, and then you can get the Legendary Quest ring pretty easily too. Suddenly, Headless Horseman, not that exciting.
Yeah, but you know what? Like it's instant gratification if you're sitting on a freaking garbage ring. It's not a lot of work, and also they're unique equipped, so you can only buy one. So like if you're an agility wearer or something like that, you only got one ring that you can wear. I lucked out being a healer that I can get the one with spirit and the caster ring, and both have stats and eye levels that benefited me. So, but if we had a show last week, I would have told you guys about how since I pre-ordered Legacy of the Void, I got a chance to play Artanis on last week's Heroes of the Storm Power Hour, which is on twitch.tv/BlizzPro on Tuesday nights, and I like him. You know what? Artanis is he's one of those heroes that He's everything Blizzard said he would be as far as being in the middle of fights, being in the middle of everything. He's got exceptionally great utility. His numbers aren't as high as I expected him to be, especially for what feels like he's all damage. Like Tychus. Tychus is all damage, but and you can get high numbers, but you're going to be out of mana the entire game. So however you want to work it. Huh?
Sorry, I was going to say,
I thought it was bugged so you could do like the double strike like a bunch of times in a row. Like if you canceled your E somehow.
Oh, I don't know.
Of them. No, you canceled the one where you're going to and from.
Yeah.
If you do some sort of weird click during it, you get to double strike again, so you can just like burst a ton of damage.
Really?
It's crazy.
Oh, I never heard about that.
Huh.
So
yeah, my brothers and friends play a ton, and they were saying that Artanis is like super OP. Did you feel that way?
You know what? He is in that it's his racial trait in that when he gets below 50% health, he gets a big shield. So he's very hard to kill. And plus he's got that swap where he shoots a little triangle out and it does some damage, but it swaps where he's at and the person that it hits. and so you can pull somebody out of a crowd and and burn them down. But also, what's really cool is the fact that doesn't hit minions. Like Stitch's hook, when you throw Stitch's hook and you hit a minion, you hook that minion, and that's what you're bringing back to the family. With Artanis, it goes straight through the minions, and if it hits a hero, you swap with that hero. So that's kind of a cool thing. But he's a little bit like, and I know people are gonna roll their eyes when I say this, but let me hear me out. He's a little bit like ETC in that he has utility and what he brings to team fights, and like his damage output and being able to swap places and stuff like that. Plus his W ability, being able to strike twice, speccing into striking 3 times. It really makes him. I mean, you can't. I don't know. You can't unattend him. So I don't know. It's I'm gonna mess with him a lot more, but it feels like everybody's got him now. Gosh, I took a drink of water before the show started, and it went down the wrong pipe, and it has not let go. Not let me alone since. But one of the things I did notice, he does lack escapability. Like if you're getting chased down, you're not getting out of it. You know what I mean? So that's one of the downsides. But I mean, he makes up for it in other ends. So I think that's gonna do it for our week in gaming, guys. We have a huge amount of information and news that we want to cover. So why don't we go ahead and why don't we do that? Here we go.
This is Matt Yang King from World of Warcraft and the creator of the World of Steam, and you're listening to Twizzcast.
What do you think?
I like turtles.
All right.
He's climbing in your windows. He's snatching your people up.
To me, it look like a leprechaun to me.
The news.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Okay, the Blizz Pro news is brought to you in part by our Patreon page, guys. Here's what happens is we are taking... if you support Twizzcast and Patreon, when we hit $500, we are giving that back to everybody every other month. Not everybody. We're giving it back to 5 patrons. We're splitting $100 5 equals ways and putting it back in your pocket because that's what you guys get for giving to us. So, but we're not going to reach that $500 goal if you guys sit back and wait and say, I'll just wait till they get closer that way, because we'll never reach that. So, and that's going to grow at 1,000. We're going to do 10 different people. So, I mean, it's just going to grow from there. And that's the bottom line, guys, is we try to, I don't know, there's no other show that's giving their money back to you. So figure we may as well try it. So jump on the bandwagon because patreon.com/Twizzcast is the place to be. It's where all the cool kids are at. So, let's talk about, I mean, as if we haven't talked enough about World of Warcraft. Patch 6.2.3 is obviously a thing that sparks some discussion in and around the community. So let's talk a little bit about what all the hubbub is going on with this patch there, Miss Reb.
Yes, let's. We've been talking a lot about World of Warcraft, and I think it's because we're seeing a lot of new things being injected into the game, and it's reviving it, and it's coming back. We're getting excited for BlizzCon coming up. Lots of fun stuff. So with 6.2.3, some things that I wanted to highlight. The first being Valor is coming back. Mm-hmm. Okay, not really. It's not exactly like the Valor that we remember, but the reason for it being introduced is because we are actually going to be able to start upgrading our gear by 10 item levels. So what does Blizzard do when they're nearing the mid to an end of a raid tier? They start to introduce nerfs if a lot of people haven't achieved what they're going for. And rather than the trend that they've been going towards, rather than nerfing content, you noticed in Mists of Pandaria towards the end, what they started to do was they would instead start allowing us to upgrade our gear and work towards getting the higher item level, getting the extra stats to be able to down bosses that we couldn't currently do. So that's going to be implemented. And there are several different ways to obtain Valor. Oddly enough, none from actually doing normal heroic or mythic raiding.
Weird.
It's very strange. But you have a whole slew of other options of where to obtain it, that being heroic and mythic dungeons, various bonus events, and even the first LFR run that you do per week. So once again, reiterating that you're just going to use that to upgrade the gear and your item level, essentially. Now, I can kind of see this as a way for them to also start pushing dungeons again, since dungeons have really just been pushed by the wayside. And I think that they felt when they introduced Mythic Dungeons that it was really going to be it was really going to draw people back into doing dungeons again, and it was really going to revive that. And it really wasn't the case, and that most people only do mythics if they were going for the jewel crafting recipe, or if they were going for doing the mythic dungeon bonus event, and they just needed to do 4 or 5 that weekend. So they have actually decided to implement an heirloom trinket that's going to scale up to level 110 and put it into these mythic dungeons. So once again, another thing that they're kind of pumping in towards these dungeons to really try to get people back to it. Now, whether that's going to play out exactly as they're hoping, that's yet to be determined, but they need something, because dungeons really are on the wayside for most players at this point.
They're also buffing the gear from Mythics, right?
Yes, they are. So it's Mythic Warforged is what's getting adjusted, and it can be an higher item level now, and so it adds a lot more RNG to it, a lot more draw and pull to come back. Right now, it's 705 is the max level for Mythic Warforged. However, it's now going to be able to be anywhere from 685 to 725 in 5 item level increments. So going from 705 to 725, that's a 20-point gap. That is pretty significant if you're like me, and I really had no way to obtain a really high item level dagger since I'm not raiding. So being able to obtain something like this and with a Mythic Warforged dagger is top notch, and I'm very excited about that particular change. So once again, trying to draw you back. You may have already done all of the achievements for doing the Mythic Dungeons, and you may want to sit that bonus weekend out, but it's trying to draw you back in, essentially. Now, another change that is kind of trying to draw people into content that they may not already be partaking in is how they're going to be changing Mythic rating to be cross-realm compatible. So there's really no excuse for not being able to find someone. Even if you're on a dead server and you can't recruit for your guild, you'll be able to use the LFG tool to try to find someone to fill in. And this is pretty convenient, because we now know that the Grove Warden Moose Mount is going to be obtained from killing Archimond on heroic difficulty or higher. So this is really going to get a lot of people the opportunity to get in and find a group that previously thought, well, you know, I don't have a guild, I haven't been on a raid team this entire tier or expansion. It's really kind of bridging that gap. And in a lot of ways, I feel like what's being implemented is Blizzard saying, yes, you can do this. There's incentives to do it, and we're giving you multiple flexible tools.
I think this calls for a Twizzcast Mythic Dungeon Night.
About that, we need to get Stutter into WoW.
Stutter, you need to roll a tank.
Yeah, you've been designated tank.
The
I mean,
DT.
you guys, I clearly haven't seen my sweet tanking skills in Heroes of the Storm. It's got to be the same thing, right?
God,
Pretty
I would
much.
pay so
Yeah.
much good money
More
to
skills.
watch, to be on Stutter's first run as a tank in WoW.
You guys forget, I played Star Wars: The Old Republic.
So anyway, I would
Same
like
thing.
to see him on a real run.
So y'all are going to roll Alliance, and we're going to get our Mythic Dungeons knocked out. And we're going to get awesome item level from the different Warforged options that are being introduced. It's win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
As long as you level me up, I'm down.
Perfect.
Wizard
We'll set up a
Shadow.
schedule for that.
We'll power level you. You get me to Legend on Hearthstone.
Ooh, that's
Done.
a good trade.
Done. I gotta put some time into that, though.
The real challenge would be getting me to Legendary, though.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, I wouldn't get you to roll. That's
Yeah,
Reb,
there you
Reb
go.
has
There
the
you
Voodoo
go.
Doctor in every deck. So
Well, what is
Speaking.
What is this
speaking
1/2
of-
Goldshire Footman?
yes, yes,
You know what? Speaking of Darnassus ass prince,
yeah.
let's talk about some PvP really quick. So, Warlord Season 3 is quickly approaching, and we're obviously going to see our reset for gear, and we're going to have a new tier come out, and it's going to be the Warmongering for Season 3. Now, Aspirant gear is going to be 715 eye level, Combatant is going to be 730, and then Glad's going to be 740. So that is a pretty significant jump. The Aspirant is just what you get from doing Ashran, which is, at this point is a little bit terrible, but I have faith that World PvP is going to be so much better in Legion. More to come on that.
Standing by.
The last thing I really wanted to touch on is I believe all of us, or I should say myself, Archon, and Twizz, we all said something to the effect of time walking. Well, I don't think I touched on it, but I actually did some time walking, and some really nifty things are being added and adjusted with time walking. That being that they are going to add Cataclysm dungeons as a time walking option.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what? Meh.
Burning Crusade and Wrath, I felt like I have so much more nostalgia.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that excited about doing Cataclysm. It's so recent.
Okay, I can understand that point of view, but I feel like Cataclysm dungeons were a little bit more dynamic and diverse than what we saw in Northrend, but I mean, it really comes down to, I'll give you a list of what they're planning to implement as far as Cataclysm dungeons. That being Grim Batal, Stonecore, the Lost City of Tol'vir, the Vortex Pinnacle, Throne of Tides, and End Time. I'm so excited about them implementing End Time. Not a lot of people partook in it because it was in the very short, last few patches of Cataclysm, and if you came back and missed a Pandaria and missed that last little chunk of Cata, then you completely really don't know what End Time was. So it's really exciting to get to see those added.
I don't know, Rab. I don't know. You know what? I sat there and I just listened to every dungeon that you rattled the name off of, and I was like, ugh. Oh, I felt like I was in a boxing match, with, I was just like, no.
Honestly, okay.
I'm with Twizz, except I am excited about End Time, and I'm excited about, I think, the other two that you're going to mention soon.
Okay, we'll get to that. I think everybody has their little expansion that they gravitate towards, and y'all are kind of looking at Northrend and BC and gravitating towards that because it really brings that nostalgia factor back for you. I really didn't start really playing the game until Cataclysm. I really didn't understand things until then, and that's where I had a really close group of friends. I played with my husband. Well, he wasn't my husband back then, but this is where we really just knocked dungeons out, and it was a very social thing for me. So getting to go back to Lost City of Tol'vir, I remember running that dozens and dozens of time with my close group of friends, and it was just probably one of the better times that I had in Warcraft. Chief Vol'jin in the chat room is pointing out that.
Yep.
Yeah, he would rather see classic dungeons added, and that's a good point. But what is to prevent you from easily leveling a level 1 and going through it? I mean, it's not that difficult to get to 60.
Yeah, no. You could say that about, I think, any of the instances. You could get someone up to 60 and easily do BC dungeons.
No, I'm saying from 1 to 60. You're talking about 170.
But that is kind of a valid point, though. The fact that classic dungeons, agreed, but when you're rolling a level 1 and you're restarting, you're in all those classic dungeons. So you probably, unless you just don't re-roll tunes, you're probably gonna see them anyways.
Yeah. And you know what? Maybe Blizzard will do another hashing of vanilla classic dungeons and introduce it as new dungeons for Legion, kind of like they did in Myst. Who knows?
I like that, but I would go with my argument, I'm still going to stand on this, time walking for classic, is if you guys have done classic dungeons starting from level 1 recently, you don't really do them. Roommate John here could testify. We've been doing these a lot recently, and you don't do the instances. You just run through them because everyone's in heirloom gear, and things literally die in less than 2 seconds. You don't get to do the instances.
Well, in time walking, it's very similar. You really only have any sort of challenge when it comes to the boss, and that's where really mechanics actually come into play. But it's very similar in the way of trash.
Yeah, it's still really easy, but it's literally, if you guys, I don't know if you've done Dead Mines recently, but things survive 10 times as long in time walking. It's still easy, but at least you get to
I tell you what, Archon, tell John that y'all are going to group up together, you're going to do classic dungeons, but you're going to kick 2 to 3 people out of your group and not re-queue yourself, and there you go, there's your challenge.
We did that actually. We did Dead Mines at level 14 with no heirlooms. It was fun, but it's inefficient, and that hurts my soul.
Yes.
of course, the Diablo player is going to talk
the
about
efficiency. The
inefficient.
efficiency bleeds. Yep.
Yeah. To wrap up this whole time walking ordeal, I know that Twizz will really appreciate Pit of Sauron is getting added for Northrend time walking, and then Archon will appreciate Magister's Terrace is getting added for the BC time walking. So 2 really good, classic, nostalgic dungeons being added, and I'm sure this is really a crowd pleaser right now from what I'm getting the feedback from the community. And if that is not enough to get you into some time walking, they are adding an infinite dragonflight mount called the Infinite Time Weaver as a drop chance, or has a drop chance to any time walking dungeon boss.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. So basically, any and every opportunity, let's say that you're doing your 5 time walking for just that particular weekend that it's up, because you just want to turn it in and get your 1 epic. Well, you have, let's say, 4 bosses per run on average. You may have a little bit more. You could kill like the bonus bosses if you'd like.
Sure.
So you're essentially going to have 20 chances where you could get this mount to drop for you in that weekend. So I would say that's a pretty awesome opportunity, and not just saying it has to be the last boss.
How many years have you been farming the Headless Horseman?
Yeah. We're not going to talk about that.
Yeah. We point set match. Twizz is the victor.
To be fair, that's only a one chance per day. 1 chance per day for 2 weeks a year. This is about every 2 to 3 weeks. You're getting the opportunity to run it as much as possible. If you wanted to run all of the dungeons that day, you have 30 chances to get a mount.
Yeah.
And you could do that every day for a whole week, and you're going to get it refreshed in 3 weeks. So I have faith that I'm going to get this Infinite Time Reaver before I get the Headless Horseman's mount.
All right. Darkoki's in the chat room. He's kind of on the. I'm reading some of his stuff. He's kind of on the negative Nancy side a little bit. He said that, it's filler content for the next 6 months. It's adding more RNG to your RNG game and stuff like that. See, here's the thing. I am part of a very, very small percentage, and maybe Archon's part of this percentage as well, where like I've missed so much of Warcraft. Like I took too long of a break, and now that I'm back in it and loving it, I'm glad stuff's not coming out too fast, because there's nothing worse than like everything comes out and it's like I'm so far behind that I just quit again. Now I feel like I have a chance to catch up. So
I'm with you. And also, if I could defend filler content, keep in mind Blizzard being able to put out content without a lot of work means that they're probably prioritizing new content that's going to take a lot more time.
Sure.
Like, just because they're putting out filler content doesn't mean they're all like, hey, let's take a vacation for 3 months and just put out, like, they're constantly working on something. So
and
that means
absolutely. Not only are they working on that, and Archon, I don't mean to step on you, but at my age, if I don't say it while it's on my mind, it's gone within 30 seconds. But there's this thing called BlizzCon right around the corner. So let's take a look at some of the things that might be involved in the Warcraft team's world, okay? So not only are they trying to develop the content and test what could work, what doesn't work, balance things, see how it's going to fit with previous expansions, upcoming expansions, and introduce a whole new character class, plus prioritize and decide, what are we going to show at BlizzCon? Do we have graphical assets for that? Do we have, should we even talk about this? Should we bring it up? How deep into this are we, and stuff like that. So like with BlizzCon coming up and trying to prep the presentation of everything that they're about to talk about, like that in and of itself, like that just takes a massive amount of time. So filler content, perhaps, but there's reasons behind all of it. So
yeah, and I mean, I don't think calling it filler content, I don't think that Darkoki's really meant to have that be like a negative thing, because they said that, they were happy to be getting content anyways, and that was going to be the point that I was going to reiterate. Even if nobody's denying that it's filler content, it's still something new and cool and something to occupy you and continue to enjoy the game, even if it's in a different aspect to the way that you currently play, until Legion's prepared.
Yeah. Blind the Rogue in the chat room wants to love Rocket, and I don't blame him. So, hey, one of the other things, guys, let's move this right along. One of the things that we talked about on our last episode, which was 2 weeks ago, which didn't get uploaded until like last Friday, and then with us missing a week and stuff like that, things are crazy. But he's in the chat room right now. Lance Blizz Gamer, I believe, is his Twitch and his Twitter account. He has donated some codes for your World of Warcraft goodness. He donated 2 codes for a character name change, 2 codes for a character race change, and 2 codes for a character appearance change. Really simple process. You log into battle.net and you go through the whole procedure of, I want to change my character's name, and then when it gets to the payment part, there's a little code redemption thing that you click on, and if you win this code, then you just copy and paste it, and when you log into game, it's sitting there waiting to happen. So what we did was, if you want to go after a character name change, email us with what you want to name your tune, and maybe just a little bit of background information or something like that. The funnier, the better, or just whatever, if it's meaningful or something. They're free codes, guys, so, whatever. It's... yeah, just have fun with it. For character race change, tell us what race you want to change and why. Very simple. All this is podcast@blizzpro.com. And character appearance settings, if you really want to go above and beyond, you can transmog, or you can take a screenshot of the worst transmog ever and send it in, and that will most likely net you a character appearance change. So podcast@blizzpro.com, guys, have a little fun, do a little interacting. So,
yeah, and Twizz is right when he says it probably will net you a code, because I think a lot of times people refrain from submitting contests like this because they're like, what are the chances I'm going to win? But what happens is everyone thinks that way, and then we get so few submissions that your chances are actually pretty high. Mm-hmm. Like if like a $15 service is worth 5 minutes of your time, you really just might as well, because you never know how few submissions we'll get.
Absolutely. So, and this will continue until we give away the codes. So, Archon, any big news going on in Diablo 3, man? Anything worth talking about? I guess there was a botting issue.
Yeah, there has been a botting issue. I really wish there was more to talk about, like news-wise, but it really feels like they're saving up the news. I'm going to put that in quotation marks, for BlizzCon, which sounds like it's just going to be patch 2.4. But, of course, if 2.4 is as exciting as 2.3, that's at least something. Because 2.3 was awesome. We all want an expansion announcement, but it looks like we're going to have to deal with just a patch explanation. Because we just have that one panel announced at BlizzCon right now. And since they're saving news for that, we're kind of left a little dry recently in Diablo 3. But the community has lit a spark. Mm-hmm. And I actually got an email about this, I think about 2 weeks ago. I can't remember who the email came from. But anyways, a bunch of the community members put together this idea of writing an open letter to Blizzard about the recent botting issue. And if you guys have played Diablo recently, especially if you're trying to climb the leaderboards, you probably know all about botting. Quinn is a popular monk. He streams, and some other people put together a bunch of data about the play habits of the people who are at the top of the leaderboards, and they found out that amongst the people who are getting on the highest ranks of the leaderboards, they've played about an average of 20 hours a day since the season started.
Holy Jesus.
Yeah, and that's not like hard to do as a human. That's like pretty much impossible to do as a human. So there's a lot of other data supporting this theory, if you could call it that. But that alone is pretty much enough to say these people are either botting or they're account sharing. And what has upset community players even more is that a lot of these streamers just come out and say that they bot. They'll start their stream, they'll log on, and they have a bunch of Rift keys and mats and stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, that's my bot. He gets me that while I'm not playing. And when players see this, and then those players never get their accounts actioned, it kind of upsets community members, especially the ones that are trying to climb the leaderboards, because most of the people at the top of the leaderboards are botting. it's nearly impossible to compete. Now
So
there are
let
a
me
few
ask you
exceptions, of
this.
course.
Let me ask you this. Let me
Yes,
ask you
go.
this. If a person starts their stream and you are there when it starts or whatever, and they're like, "I'm going to be botting," are you upset? Personally?
No, yeah, that upsets me.
Now, what if they're like, "I'm going to do something entertaining in the background while my bot is doing its thing," and he's like, he's like in the background, like juggling and getting drunk and like doing beer bongs and stuff like that, and like craziness ensues and a whole bunch of people come into party and it gets crazy while Diablo is being played. Are you upset then?
If
Yes.
it's entertaining enough. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, just to clarify, people aren't streaming themselves botting. That would be kind of boring to watch. But what people are tending to do is botting while they're sleeping, while they're eating, while they're taking an especially long dump. Any time that they're away from the computer for a while.
We went there apparently. It happened.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure you guys understand the full effect of this phenomenon right now. But it's a real issue. Like, people are upset about it. But this open letter was inspired by the fact that Blizzard hasn't really said much about it. And I was kind of torn on whether or not I wanted to go in on this, and I feel like it was warranted, but I really just want to hear Blizzard's side of it, because what we know from Blizzard, I think it's very unlikely that they're just sitting back and watching this happen. Like, I'm sure they have opinions on it. I'm sure they're looking into it. But what, of course, is frustrating for the whole community is they just haven't said what they're doing about it. They haven't said their opinion on it. And maybe it's because they want to refrain from giving botters and botting companies information that they could use to, keep from getting caught. But it's still frustrating to the community. So there was a big open letter. Jach, a lot of you guys know Jach. He plays a wizard in Diablo, and he's a big member of the community. Posted the letter. And shortly after that said, and I'm just kind of done with Diablo. This is like the last thing I'm posting, and I'm going to stop playing. And that was really sad for a lot of us.
Well, in Warcraft, World of Warcraft and Warlords, in season 1 of the Warlords PvP season, I just said season probably about 15 times just now. Kickbots were a huge issue, and it was so frustrating trying to get legitimately earn your rank and your rating, and consistently going in and coming up against bots and kickbots. It was just beyond so frustrating, and to try to legitimately try to do it, and it was a constant cry out on the forums, why haven't you done anything? This has been noted as a problem for months now, and so many people were frustrated and throwing their hands up in the air and saying, I'm not competing this season because it's just not worth it if you're not going to take actions. And then come to find out the entire time, Blizzard was just being very hush-hush about how they were monitoring what was going on and how they were making sure that an account was appropriately flagged as a bot.
Yeah,
and then mass bans came out.
And
so
there's
I have
no
no doubt
winning.
that that's probably what's going on.
There is no winning, because here's what happens. They start throwing the ban stick around. They're being too aggressive. They don't do anything, and they're not being aggressive enough. And there's no winning there. And I don't know what's worse, getting upset over the fact that, yet again, the community ruins things for themselves, or the fact that, people get really spun up about a video game.
I'm just.
Oh, come on! Of all the people you could say that to, we're all spun up about a video game.
I'm saying, in the grand scheme of things, the big picture thing, the whole spinning world and universes and everything like that. Like, get upset when your grandma dies. Get upset when somebody hits your car or runs over your dog.
I don't know. I disagree with you there.
Guys,
like
listen,
Rebs.
Oh,
Sorry, go ahead, Stutter.
No, you go ahead, because this is going to end the conversation in a second.
Okay, I'll go quick. I agree with Reb, and that's why I was hesitant to join them on posting this open letter. But to talk about what Twizz was saying, I think the community still has a right to be upset, even if Blizzard is doing exactly what they think should be done. I think it's understandable, one, for people to take a game seriously. I think to a lot of people it's more of a hobby than a game, and I think it's okay to take hobbies seriously. And two, for them to be upset when their hobby's integrity is kind of
compromised.
Yeah, compromised.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Now, Stutter, what do you have to contribute?
I have nothing to contribute that's important. But I'm going to say, if you are about to go to the bathroom and you go, man, I got to go to my computer and turn on my bot, you got bigger issues than botting.
It's kind of. And with that, I could not agree more.
Touche.
Could not agree more. Well,
because the one other thing we had in Diablo was just a reminder that we have this ongoing challenge, of course, the Naked Greater Rift Challenge. And I think maybe in this show's show notes we're going to post the rules. Was that the idea?
Yeah, yes, yeah, I think, yeah. Let's give it a crash course, and then I'm going to copy pasta everything in my email to the show notes. And good luck.
Cool. So it's basically you can only use a weapon and an offhand. You can't use your Paragon points. You can't use any cubed items, and you can't use any. That's about it. Cubed items. And you just go and you see what the highest Greater Rift you can do before the time runs out. And right now, I think I have the record, but only because we haven't had many entries yet at Greater Rift 5. Beat that. If you can record it, great. If not, just send us an email, and we'll probably believe you.
Yeah. Or if you can screenshot it, we'll give this to the end of the year. We'll give this to the end of 2015, and at the end of 2015. If Archon's record is not beat, I'll do a show with my shirt off.
We'll all do a show.
We'll all do a show with our shirt off. Here we go.
Well, maybe
We'll
it is
shotgun
beat.
a beer in after hours.
Wait. But you said if it's not beat, so now no one's going to want to enter. How about if it is beat? I think that's the...
Yeah, that would be good. That's not what I said.
Yeah.
That's what in my mind. That's what was clicking. But obviously, it's not what came out my mouth. So
it's okay. Thanks, Sam.
So that's the reward. The punishment, I think we all have to do a shotgun a beer, right? In after hours.
Oh God.
Yeah. I think we should do that either way.
Probably should.
I'm not a
New Year. Happy New Year.
I'm not as young as I used to be. So, guys, in case you were not paying attention or you kind of maybe missed the announcement that's been on pretty much every Blizzard fan site that is around the globe, closed beta for Overwatch starts tomorrow, which is October 27th, 2015, the year of our Lord. And you can go to Blizzard's Overwatch site to sign up if you've not done so already. There's also some news concerning Overwatch and what Blizzard has in store. Archon, why don't you bring us up to speed on the Overwatch Fandango?
Yeah, for sure. Unfortunately, by the time most people listen to this, it's going to be too late to sign up. So I hope you guys got the memo. You guys all played Overwatch at BlizzCon, right? Or I don't know if Stutter did.
I didn't go to BlizzCon. So
they didn't have. They were introducing Heroes of the Storm when I was there.
last year. No.
Oh, that's right. Well,
that's
Twizz,
right. I was the only cool one.
Twizz, you didn't get to play it?
No, the last time I was at BlizzCon was when they launched Heroes of the Storm.
Oh, I'm so sad. I get all my BlizzCons mixed up, all two of them. But no, I'm so excited about this. It's amazing. It's a shooter that you don't have to be good at shooters to be good at, because as Blizzard always does, they make it really appealing to casual players. It's a really inviting game that's both casual and has the potential for being esports competitive, which was a lot of people were skeptical about. But a lot of people who play like Counter-Strike and Call of Duty competitively have come out and said, no, this has like legit potential to be an esport, and I think we're going to see that. It's like Team Fortress 2, but I don't even want to compare it to Team Fortress 2 because it's so much better than it. And I liked Team Fortress 2.
Oh, all right.
But anyways, we got a lot of news this week, but we're just going to go over the big ones. We got news of Battle.net voice chat, which I just want to preface, it's called Battle.net voice chat. So even though everything I'm talking about is specifically towards Overwatch, keep in mind it's not called Overwatch voice chat. So
right.
I think it would be kind of weird if we didn't see it on the other games. But they have an upcoming build has references to Vivox, which is a company that produces voice chat for games. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. The post by Blizzard didn't mention them, but we're pretty sure at this point that that's what they're using. It's already in use in EVE, World of Tanks, Elder Scrolls Online, H1Z1, Star Trek Online, Second Life, many other games. We don't know that's what they're using, but I feel confident at this point to say that's what it is.
Yeah, enough.
And then Blizzard did a little Q&A about Battle.net, voice chat. One of the questions, if I'm not in Overwatch beta test, can I still test voice chat? The answer is Battle.net voice chat will only be available for testing in Overwatch beta, and players are welcome to sign up for beta, of course, like we mentioned before, but it's probably too late for you. I'm so sorry.
It's never too late.
Yeah.
It's never too late.
Yeah, Lance Blizz Gamer in the chat room.
Yeah, you're right.
Who
I'm so sorry.
I believe is a Blizzard employee, said that
I think
it's never too late to join.
Archon is saying, don't join so that I have a better chance.
Yeah, I want a better chance.
Yeah, I want a better chance of getting one.
I'm so sorry. I did mislead everyone. I meant it's too late to get into, by the time most people hear this, to get into the initial group. But they're going to be inviting more and more people throughout beta. So yes, sign up. I'm so sorry for purposely misleading all of you so I can get into beta. Let's see. Will voice chat support other Blizzard games as well? If so, when? The answer was with voice chat still in its early development and testing stages, it's too early to say which Blizzard games will be supported and when. But of course, we should expect, I think, other Blizzard games to have this. How will voice chat work in the Overwatch beta test? We'll have further details to share when beta begins. And should I see some sort of change with my Battle.net desktop app? And no, there's just an addition to the app's DLLs. And basically, I think we have a lot of reason to think that this is going to be the first good voice chat in Blizzard games.
Yeah.
You guys probably remember the voice chat.
They don't have a lot of competition to be good.
Yeah.
They tried it with World of Warcraft, and the quality was just so bad.
Yeah.
It was almost unusable. But I think we heard a lot of this on the recent beta stream, and it sounded as good as any other voice chat. And the fact that it's built in is just amazing. You don't have to group up with people and get them on TeamSpeak. It's just boom, you're there.
Well, and I wonder if this is going to be an option where because you look at the way everything's going right now. Look at how the games Heroes of the Storm, Overwatch, potentially. I don't know. I've never played it, but I believe it could dump you into a game with 3-4 other people that you don't know, and this is a way to talk to them. And God help us, like we need to be recording some of the things that when you jump on with 4 other complete and total strangers, you know. I mean, like I've seen some videos about like the Call of Duty and the NASCAR racing. Have you guys seen that? The YouTube videos of the NASCAR where the guy's trolling them totally. You never
I've seen some good ones. I haven't seen that one.
Oh my God, we're gonna watch that in the after hours. But I mean, just can you imagine the names? That's going to be a whole other can of worms. Is, you know, this dude called me this and that and blah blah blah. And I'm going to report you for this. Well, I'm going to report your mom under. You know, I mean, it's going to get unruly. But I don't know if it's going to go that way. I don't know if it's just going to be like a voice chat client where it's like, you know, rest in peace,
community
vent.
Thoughts.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, things overheard during Overwatch voice chat.
Whole new segment of the show.
Oh,
but
my
I think
God.
we have reason to believe that they're going to do a much better job of weeding out the people who are harassing through voice chat than, you know, other games have done. I think think they've been working on this for a while, and hopefully it's not going to be as bad as some not mentioned FPSs.
Yeah. Well, if this thing takes off and it turns out pretty decent, I mean, there's going to be a lot of people who, I mean, Vent. There's no more Vent subscriptions. There's no more people paying for that, especially if this thing's worth a crap. It's going to be kind of insane. So, especially kind of insane. A change has shown up on the Overwatch game page on Battle.net, which mentions that the game is not only for PC, but also consoles. This change was spotted in their meta tags description, and frankly, I'm not surprised to see this, especially with as much attention as was given to Microsoft for featuring BlizzCon on the Xbox One. And, you know, I mean, it was like, oh, it's going to be on the Xbox One. Microsoft, hype. You know, I can see them getting involved. I wouldn't be surprised to see that Overwatch, you know, they're gonna do like when they announced Hearthstone for for iPhone. And for Droid, you know, they show the logos and this and that. I would not be surprised at all to see, you know, the Microsoft logo and them announcing that it's going to be on consoles and stuff like that. If they put it on a phone, I'm just going to throw my phone away because
Overwatch on phones. Oh, that'd be great.
Paper shredder. I'm off the grid, guys.
Yeah.
I think you're right, though. I think we've come to the point where like big announcements are more and more valuable with social media shares, and it's really becoming a lot more worth it to spread out your big announcements. They don't want to give us too much goodies at once, because every time they give us something good, we all start talking about it. And so spreading out these announcements makes sure that people are constantly talking about it. They have a little more fuel to throw on the fire when they need it. And I mean, why wouldn't they put it on console? Diablo did great on console. They've already announced that they have controller support for the game. It just wouldn't make sense.
And
to not put it on console.
prior to Twizzcast taking a break, I said this needs to have the Microsoft logo on it. This needs to have the Sony logo on it. This needs to be on a console platform. Like, that's how I can truly get behind this game. So I'm glad to see that it looks like that. Obviously, they listened to me.
Well,
obviously,
you knew something was coming, right? Because Call of Duty was, and I mentioned Call of Duty as you guys are gonna go, oh, it's not a Blizzard game, but it's an Activision game, right?
Yeah.
Activision Blizzard is the company.
Yeah, but they are very separate. They don't.
They are
work
very
together
separate, but you know, Microsoft goes to Activision. They go, wow, that Overwatch game's pretty cool, and they're like, let me put you in contact with this person, and then Microsoft goes, oh, let's do this.
Yeah.
You know, it's like Microsoft sees them as one company, despite them being two very separate companies. That's my personal opinion.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Just so you guys know, the meta description that was there for I think less than a day before they changed it back started with the sentence, "Overwatch is Blizzard's team shooter for PC and consoles." So that's what we're referring to. And the meta description is just something that's in the HTML of the header of the page. That it's what you see like on a Google search right beneath the title of the page.
Yeah.
So it's likely that they didn't give too much credence to that because you don't really see it. It's kind of a hidden description. You only see it if you're looking at the page source of the page. But it's hard for me to believe that that would get added in there if they weren't intending it for consoles.
Darkoki's in the chat room is pointing out something that was the first thing that I noticed upon the announcement for Overwatch was that knowing that the beta is currently only going to be PC only, and it's not Mac compatible for now. And that's a little bit of a bummer because the past alphas and betas that I've seen come and go with Blizzard, they were compatible for both, and they were feeding that data to make sure that it was appropriately programmed for both operating systems. And so I just find it a little bit weird that they're saying we really want to test really making our servers have to work very hard on certain weekends where it's going to be like an open beta. You're going to have very limited of what you can do, but we just want to make sure that we can handle a lot of traffic essentially. And it's kind of weird that they would say that and not want it coming from multiple sources and simply just want simplistic data coming from Windows only. So what do you guys think about that?
That's a good point. I think I would be willing to put money that it's going to come to Mac.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to put money that somebody's going to make a mod that makes it on Mac no matter what.
Well, you can hack your Mac to be able to run any sort of Windows or PC program.
Yeah. Or you could just, buy a Windows computer.
Windows computers probably aren't.
Now that's just, what, Macs do make much better multimedia files and programs and stuff like that. The tools that you can use to make movies and stuff like that is second to none. So you know what, you can play.
That's really cute, but I don't think you're going to win over this audience.
Make your movies. I want to make your movies. I'm going to play
You've
Overwatch.
You've already blasphemed the Mac.
Oh, yeah. Don't ever tell someone, if you're live streaming and you have at least 100 people there, don't you dare say the word Mac, because they will jump down your throat. I used to play on a Mac that ran Windows via boot camp, and even then, if I mentioned Mac, I was just banned by like 20% of the chat. Was like, no, we're done. You're not a gamer.
Wow. No. Well, I know. All I was saying was you guys can make your movies. I'll play Overwatch. So that's ultimately where I was going there. So, anyways, guys, we are going to be hitting the Overwatch news hot and heavy because there's going to be more concrete things coming out and more abilities to watch. The gameplay and stuff like that. So, we're going to be getting more into Overwatch. I hate not covering Overwatch in the past episodes. Simply because it's like, what do you say about a game that there's not a whole heck of a lot going on with that we know about? And, they're keeping their hand, close to their chest, and it's, what do you do? So anyways, now that this is happening tomorrow, hopefully we'll be having a lot more to talk about. So let's talk about a game that I almost uninstalled twice this week. That went through a little bit of a change. One of the biggest things that came out this week is the nerf to Patron Warrior. It's a deck that was unstoppable if you played it well, a tragedy if you played it poorly, and a toss-up if you played against it. Stutter, we can talk about this a little bit, but one of the things that I do want to bring up real quick, we got an email about this, and I want to kind of handle this in the email, but we did get another email for Ask Reb just before this show started, and that's the reason why I'm bringing this up ahead of time. And this is from Lance Blizz Gamer, also in the chat room, and he says, "Hello, Reb. I wanted to know what you felt about the recent changes to the Patron deck, how this will affect your warrior playstyle. As a tank, this really must tick you off."
Yeah, the changes to the patron deck, I tell you what, I couldn't think of a better place to host a barbecue for the Patreons. I don't know where to put my patrons now that they come over. I was going to have a Christmas barbecue. Honestly, we're just going to have to bring it inside, which is not necessarily a bad thing for being in North Dakota. As far as being a tank, I really don't think that my vehicle choice is really anybody's business. What I choose to drive to work every day is really up to me. It's a personal choice. And you know what? If people want to say it's a gas guzzler, you know what? It's my life, my body. And if I choose to drive a tank to work, I'm going to.
I'm going to throw this keychain that I'm holding through the window.
I hear you. Reb, I feel your pain. You know what? For the first 10 years of my life in the workforce, I was a forklift driver. And I would have traffic backed up for miles. It was crazy. So,
can we have a Reb versus Stutter debate section?
Well, I would love that.
Oh yeah, we'd all love that. Oh my god. So, anyways, back to a serious note. The Warsong Commander did get a little bit of a change. Why don't you talk about that change ever so briefly? Because I really want to expand on this in the email segment.
I mean, guys, Warsong Commander they changed it so it doesn't give your minions charge. Now it gives your minions who have charge +1 attack, which sucks. I mean, we could end it there, but I'll go into more depth. It really sucks. It's a useless card now. It's a useless card. I'm sorry. It's terrible in Arena. It's terrible in Constructed. There's so many better 3-drops nowadays.
Well, right.
So many better.
Well, no, you know what? They used it to break the game. They broke it with the one-turn kill warrior. They used it with Patron Warrior, and so finally they just made the card so you can't break it anymore. So,
but the thing is they just nerfed it too much. It's like the problem is now it's unplayable in Arena right now. So Warrior has another crappy Basic card. So you're just completely saying, oh well, Warriors in Arena, never go for it. Just never do it. Never ever. So it's completely unplayable. I mean, you made it a raid leader, but bad. You made it worse than raid leader, guys. Come on.
It happened, but it will never break the game again.
I hope somebody breaks the game with this just to spite people. Yeah. Just somehow something happens. Like play it with Ice Hound or whatever the giant thing is. I don't know.
We'll talk more about it. We'll talk more about it later.
I mean, it's just you made it a raid leader, guys. Come on. Make it a 3-4, make it a 3-3, buff the stats. I don't know. Make it so it's at least okay in Arena, because Arena doesn't have much for Warriors anyways. Not that I play much Arena these days, but it's like, nobody ever picks Warrior. Nobody goes, you know what, Arena? Warrior's going to win.
Yeah.
Stutter, do you have a recommended change they could have made to it?
I mean, I think you got to buff the stats. Right? If you're going to make this change to it, make it completely so the charge doesn't matter. Which in Arena, the charge didn't matter that much anymore. I think you got to buff the stats. I think you got to make it a 3-4. Which, I mean, +1 attack instead of charge, I don't know. Maybe say it gives charge to 1 creature. Maybe that. Maybe charge to 2 creatures. I don't know.
Or, you know what, it's a 2-3, but you make it a 5 cost.
Yeah, something like
or
that.
even no, because patron's a 5 cost, right? So you'd have to wait all the way till turn 10 before you could get patrons going. But it was actually the interaction with Frothing Berserker that really broke it more than anything. So.
But the thing is, that didn't happen that often, with Frothing Berserker. It happened a lot more with patrons than Frothing Berserker. Like, Frothing Berserker, you had to basically wait to kill him or else you were just SOL.
Sure.
I mean, I understand the Frothing Berserker part, but you have to have a board already or they have to way overextend, and they have to expect that. Like, with Patron, I don't know, it was like one of the few decks that limited aggro.
I think,
and not like,
you know what they could have done? If you have a here's an easy fix. And it's just changing the text. If you have a creature with 1 attack on the board when you play this, it has charge. It's a 2/3 with charge.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that could work. Like I said before, maybe give a creature charge. A creature. Not give all creatures. That's my suggestion.
But they already have charge in their lineup.
No, but I'm saying, like, if you were playing Patron, right? And a Patron's on the board, you play you attack with a Patron, you get a new Patron, and you give that Patron charge so that next one can't attack.
I gotcha.
Something like that.
Yeah, that would be fun. Yeah, that'd be. I'm sure some butthole would find some way to break it, though.
I'm fine with that. Let them break it.
Okay, well, we'll talk a little bit more in depth than that a little bit later. There was some cooperative tavern brawl data mining that happened. I don't know if you saw this or not, Stutter. Some initial data mining on the phone patch deployed today to the Amazon App Store has revealed a couple of more tidbits which make reference to a co-op tavern brawl. And this isn't the first time that we've seen reference to 2-player co-op in Hearthstone's client, but I'm sure it's going to be expanded upon in the not-too-distant future. But
ooh, Stutter and I could co-op and brawl.
No, you know what I was thinking about? Definitely not that, Reb. That would have been great. Oh, man, if we had that during the Hearthstone Power Hour, that would have been good.
Oh, yeah, that would have been good.
That would have been a lot of fun. Oh, I dream of that. I'm excited for that. I think it'll add a little bit of different kind of feel to Hearthstone. I think Tavern Brawl is the right place to put it out, right? Because if it hits it really big, then they can just go, well, we're actually going to add it for real. You guys are all so lucky. And if it doesn't go well, it's like, well, it was a brawl. Who cares? Because they've had brawls fail before. Like, what was it? The first one was Rag versus Deathwing.
Oh, yeah.
And Deathwing just dominated every time.
Yep.
It's like you couldn't win because Rag started out with one mana and Deathwing started out with like 4,
Yeah.
It was absurd.
It was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I think there's a lot of room to grow as far as co-op mode goes for Hearthstone. I still dream of a day when I can join up with you and the guys from the Well Met podcast or whatever, and you're playing against a boss, and everybody sees their own cards, and you all get together on this new Battle.net chat client, and you talk about, I'm going to play this, and then I'm going to play this, and then we're going to do this, and we're going to try and combo this off of that, and work together as a team, almost as a card raid. And this might be the first baby step towards that.
I mean, if you look at it this way, here's the way I look at Tavern Brawls. First off, some of the Tavern Brawls, let's be real here, sucked. But it's such a good avenue to test things out, right?
Yeah.
Because they just put stuff in, like this 2-player co-op. Like I was saying before, you just test it out. If it goes well, great. We'll expand on it. Oh, it sucked. Oh well. Let's test something new out.
Sure.
Like you said, the raid thing, that'd be awesome as long as they do it right. But they have the perfect avenue to test things out. This is glorious for Blizzard. For Hearthstone, just all their people who work on it. It's just glorious. I wish I remembered the name of people who worked on stuff. I just want to call them engineers, but they're not.
Okay.
I'm sure they have some engineers.
I'm sure they do too. Yeah, absolutely. Game designer. Boom.
Game designer. Developer.
Boom. Dropping knowledge
Developer
bombs.
even. Developer even. So, well, guys, it definitely would not be a Twizzcast if we did not give you a deck of the week. Now, We just got done talking about how Patron Warrior got nerfed, but Kit Kats, the warrior extraordinaire, puts together a different kind of Patreon deck, or a different kind of patron deck. And it was very effective. I think he went on like a 19-2 win streak with that or something like that. It was insane. So, anyways, we're going to feature that deck. So, we're going to have Stutter break it down and kind of talk a little bit how it plays. He and I did get a chance to play this together earlier this week, and I think we won 4 games in a row with it. We went 4 for 4.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing is, it plays like a control deck, but then you got the big patron turn, right, instead of some other things.
Yeah.
So you got the Inner Rages, obviously, to buff the patrons. And what's good is you're not worried. You're not waiting for that, Warsong Commander that you have to. So you can just play patron out there and not feel as bad about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously you want the big turn with the Inner Rages or the Whirlwinds, but you don't have to wait for that OTK, craziness. And you can also feel free to play running some other things out there on its own. Like Unstable Ghoul, you're more likely to play that in the beginning because you don't have to do Grim Patrons with it, which I was always okay with doing it. Anyways, you also have other win conditions, right? For Dr. Boom and Grom.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's just go through it in the beginning. So we got Inner Rages. Obviously, that's for Grom plus patrons, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got 2 executes because
or even Acolyte of Pain.
That's true. Acolyte of Pain. I forgot about that. And even Armor Smiths if we wanted to.
Yep.
Just the early trade.
Yep.
Trading those 2 3s. So we got obviously 2 Whirlwinds for the Grim Patrons plus early board clear against all those pesky Paladins and Hunters. We got 2 Fiery War Axes
and 2 executes.
Yep. No, we said that before because it's Warrior.
Oh, sorry. Well, yeah. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, it's Warrior. And same with Fire War Axe. It's Warrior. We got Battle Rage because you have those Whirlwinds and those Inner Rages and all that other stuff. Easy ways to damage your own creatures.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no reason not to play Battle Rages. You obviously have 2 Armor Smiths because those just crush aggro. You got 2 Cruel Taskmasters again to combat the aggro plus damage your own minions. I mean, to counter, go with the Grim Patrons. It plays more board control-y because obviously you need the Grim Patrons to live. So it's more susceptible to AoE, but it's not. You have other win conditions, so at least you're not relying on that big 1-turn OTK. But we have 2 Acolyte of Pains for a draw, 2 Death Spites because they're just an amazing card these days. We got 2 Defender of Arguses because those are just value cards in this because you always have kind of minions out there, right? Defender of Argus and Armor Smith, that's an awesome card to Defender of Argus. You got Pilot of Shredders, which always leave something behind. Again, we have those Grim Patrons. If you want to Defender of Argus them, you Grim Patron, you Whirlwind, and you Defender of Argus in the middle. That's a great turn. But we got 2 Pilot of Shredders, so they're just sticky. They're the best 4-drop in that game by a mile. I mean, it's just so phenomenal.
Until you have a loaded board and they drop a Doomsayer.
That's true.
Then they're the worst 4-drop in the game.
Yeah, then the auto board clear for them.
Mm-hmm.
You have to silence your own Doomsayer sometimes. We don't have any silence in this deck, though, and you can't execute your own Doomsayers. So then we got, after that, a Lothab, because if you build a board and drop Lothab, you win the game. Then you got an Emperor Thaurissan, just because Emperor Thaurissan makes everything cheaper and easier. So Emperor Thaurissan was always a great card to have in Grim Patron decks because it just made the combos happen so much sooner.
Mm-hmm.
And you just play a big turn like that. Which this combo happens, a lot sooner anyways because you don't need those Warsong Commanders. But it's still there. It makes your Dr. Booms cheaper. It makes your Grom cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
It just is an efficient, great card anyways. Then obviously you got Dr. Boom because it's Dr. Boom, and you got Grom because it's a great finisher.
Yep.
And when people see Grim Patrons, they often don't expect Grom.
Yes, very true. Very true. And also, one of the things I've seen when we played this deck was Emperor Thaurissan made a huge swing in this deck because realistically, if you look at what else you could be holding to benefit off of that, you now have free executes, free whirlwinds, 1-cost battle rage, fiery war axe, armor smiths, 1-cost unstable ghouls, 2-cost acolytes, even a 3-cost defender of Argus. That's unbelievable. You're going to get immediate value almost off of almost anything you have in your hand just from dropping Thaurissan. So lots of value there. So we will build this deck and have it on the Twizzcast show notes. So when you guys when this episode goes live on whatever the hell it's called, iTunes, there we go. You guys can check out blizzpro.com, look for the Twizzcast post, and you will absolutely see that there. So let me see here. What else? Was there anything else in the world of Hearthstone that was worth talking about?
Hearthstone was kind of like, it's we're gonna hit it hard with BlizzCon. I mean, you can anticipate they're gonna release probably one of those, probably an expansion.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it involves like an expansion with bosses or an expansion where you're just buying a bunch of cards, like the most recent one.
Oh, you know what? And here is a interesting thing. So I was looking at the BlizzCon, whatchamacallit, the BlizzCon card back that you get for the virtual ticket and everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And so I'm looking at it and I'm thinking to myself, and I'm gonna share this. I'm gonna share this page here so that way you guys can see this. So here it is. There it is right there. There's the card back. What do we see there? I see broken ice. Now, I realize that it's Blizzard, the snow, the blue, the everything like that, but a lot of people in the past have been asking for an Ice Crown expansion. And I think if this game could work off of another mechanic that happens in there, they've already worked off Death Rattle, they've already worked off Inspire. Now, what about freezing minions?
I mean, they have freezing minions. They can expand on that even more.
I know that, but I mean, if you have an Ice Crown thing and it's like it freezes all these minions, or it freezes the 2 minions with the highest attack, or something like that. I mean, if you can freeze things, do you have any idea what that's going to do to aggro?
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
I mean,
that'd be fantastic.
It'd be huge. And so I'm just looking at this card back and I'm thinking to myself, I can't help but wonder if that is a thing that might happen where they announce an Ice Crown expansion.
I mean, I hope so.
But again, it could be just one of those things where it's Blizzard Entertainment, Blizzard,
I mean,
we either talk about snow and ice or we talk about ice cream with candy in it,
Their model has been adventure, then expansion with a bunch of cards, then adventure, then card expansion with a bunch of cards, so we're on track for a adventure expansion. Yeah. So it'd be like a few cards, but it's it could be that.
Kick Tripod in the chat room and Eldorian. We had this talk on 2 separate occasions. He said last year's BlizzCon card back was based on Blizzard's Courtyard and not the new content we saw. Last year's card back was Dalaran. But it's not like Dalaran was a I don't know. You can't do anything with Dalaran, and plus they were already knee deep in GVG. So I don't know. I mean, I'm just looking at it. I'm just looking at it and thinking out loud here. If you're gonna make an announcement and what you get from the goodie bag and what you get from the virtual goodie bag and stuff like that, as far as a Hearthstone card back, if it coincides with an adventure that they're gonna make, an announcement, an adventure of some type, it may as well be relevant.
It would be really cool if it was a new type of hero.
That could be too.
Like a Frosty K.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. It's just I don't know. It's one of those things where I can see the developers. I can see Ben Brode being like, "Dude, this is gonna be our adventure announcement. We want it in a big way."
Yeah, but if he said that, that'd be a pirate adventure.
Whatever. Anyways, speaking of pirate adventures, let's talk about Heroes of the Storm, because we got a whole bunch going on. One of the biggest things that happened this past week in Heroes of the Storm was something that I was hoping they would do, and that's a world event. Hallow's End is coming to the Nexus with a lot more treats than tricks, ladies and gentlemen. There is a new mount and skin. We covered this a couple of episodes ago. The Headless Horseman's Charger mount comes out tomorrow. The Buccaneer Felstad skin comes out tomorrow. And there's a week-long bonus XP event. So starting at 10 o'clock Pacific time tomorrow morning, which is 12 o'clock Central, 1 o'clock Eastern, and it ends at 10 a.m. on November 3rd, same time frames. Games played that award XP will grant an additional 50% in all regions.
Yeah. So if you don't get into Overwatch beta,
Yeah.
You can play Heroes of the Storm.
There you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
pretty nice.
And it is, you know what? I mean, that is kind of a perk for those who are like, I don't really want the skin. I don't really want the mount. I just want to play Heroes of the Storm. You know, so none of this whole holiday thing really even phases me. No, you get a 50% bonus XP buff, you know? Which the XP buff, all that does is, you know, level your heroes so you can get new mounts and skins. So,
Yeah.
I mean... You know, take what you will out of that. You can get the Jack-o'-lantern portrait. You play 25 games during the Hallow's End event and earn the new Jack-o'-lantern portrait. And this will persist until November 17th. Event progress can be tracked through an event quest that's going to be in your quest log. So 25 games. Let's see here. Here's what we're going to do real quick, guys. I'm going to get into my phone because I want to see something. Now, this was math that I meant to do ahead of time that I didn't. So 25 games times... what's the average? 22 minutes or so for a game?
20 minutes to make it easy.
Okay. Times
Math
20.
is hard.
It's 500, obviously. So 500 divided by 60. You're looking at just a Happy Meal short of 8.5 hours worth of gameplay.
That's if you choose to do QM. You could be a lazy bones and do beginner AI.
Yeah, what is that, like a night?
No,
of
it has to
gameplay?
award XP.
Is it win or is it play?
Play 25 games during the Hallow's End event to earn the Jack-o'-lantern portrait.
Okay.
So I don't know. I'm sure obviously AI will count because I don't think they're going to force you to have to battle it out against other players and deal with some of the toxicity in the community and stuff like that. So, I mean, hey, it is what it is. I suppose you could probably zap through about 7 or 8 games pretty quickly in an AI. What's that?
I just looked it up. It is win.
Oh, it is win?
Yeah.
Very good. Okay. Well, I copied and pasted from the announcement they made a couple of days ago, so apparently that's been updated. So, if you are into bundles and whatnot, they have all sorts of Halloween-ish bundles. And notice I said Halloween-ish and not Halloween-y for obvious reasons. My present company.
But now you kind of did say Halloween.
I did, and so now we're going to bring it up and have a chuckle. There's the Hallow's End Ultimate Bundle, okay, and this comes with Kerrigan, the Countess Kerrigan skin, Abathur, Skeletor Abathur, Falstad, Buccaneer Falstad, and the Headless Horseman's Charger mount for a whopping $53.04.
What's with the 4 cents?
Yeah.
I got nothing. With the 4 cents. I know. You know, I don't know. And when you pay for that, you're going to pay tax on top of it. So it's like an actual no crap price. So I got nothing. And then there's just the Hallow's End bundle, which is Falstad, Buccaneer Falstad, and the Headless Horseman's Charger mount for $21.35. So I would say ballpark, like I already own Falstad, so the Buccaneer Falstad and the Headless Horseman's Charger mount is probably going to range somewhere around $14-15 for those two, for the skin and the mount. So look forward to that. One of the things that Blizzard did do earlier this week is they announced a new esports division. So basically, it's a new division that's going to build on the company's competitive gaming leadership by creating all new ways to deliver the best-in-class fan experience across games, platforms, and geographies, furthering the development of its world-leading esports ecosystem. Here's what I thought was kind of interesting, kind of neato. Former CEO of ESPN and the NFL Network, Steve Bornstein, will serve as the division's chairman, and Mike Sepso, who was most recently a co-founder and president of Major League Gaming, MLG obviously, will serve as the senior vice president. I know Stutter's very excited about this because he asked me about 4 times if we were going to talk about it on the show tonight.
I am pretty excited. I think it's awesome. I mean, I think it's a big deal, right? Because anytime ESPN2 is the 9th most valuable network on TV. ESPN2. ESPN1 is obviously number 1. That's crazy. If they make like an ESPN for esports, plus think about all the stuff they're going to get in, right? They were already on ESPN. Now they have a guy who's linked to ESPN to get on it, right?
Yeah.
That's huge. I mean, if the spelling bee can be on ESPN, so can esports.
Right. Well, what I really like about is the fact that you know, Blizzard's backing this and stuff. Now, look, I'm going to say things that is going to make nerds across the world angry. But
Uh-oh.
here I know Archon's he's putting his seatbelt on right now.
I'm bracing.
I can watch League of Legends. I can watch Heroes of the Storm. You know, I could even probably watch Hearthstone tournaments on ESPN, something like that. But like for me to turn on ESPN and just see nothing but Call of Duty, polite pass. You know what I mean? So for
I
me,
don't think you have to worry about them taking over the actual ESPN network.
No. You know what I mean, though. Whatever ESPN channel or whatever they're going to advertise, whatever TV channel is going to
ESPN.
Whatever.
ESPN.
The Ocho.
I like these good names. You guys are so original.
ESPN.
But yes, you are correct in that it's not like one of those things. But it's also like, you know, people don't watch all the sports, right? I never watch baseball. I know Eldorian's going to kick me from Blizz Pro right now, but I never watched baseball.
I don't care. Baseball is so boring. Nothing happens.
I know. See, you don't watch it, but it's on ESPN, right? It's like...
Yeah.
So's golf.
Like, yeah, well, I watch golf.
And bowling.
Golf is awesome.
And Hearthstone.
Golf is awesome.
Yeah, I watch golf all the time. I watch that. I also watch the spelling bee. Fantastic.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, we found that out last week.
My
After hours.
My ultimate point is that if ESPN is going to be involved and we're going to be seeing esports events more on the regular on any type of ESPN channel or networking or anything like that, like, I don't know. There's just so many games that are just unappealing, but they are considered esports.
I think it's just your generation.
My generation.
I think
we were born like 2 months apart, Archon.
You got to get with the times, man. This is the future of esports. We're going to be as respected as any other sport pretty soon.
No.
And
I mean,
Blizzard's going to be one.
There's going to be an Olympics for esports.
No, that's legitimately true. Like 2020 Olympics is probably going to have StarCraft and League of Legends.
There we go. Yeah.
That's a thing. That's not.
But like,
that's the fact.
That up.
Yeah.
That was
Think
an
about
ABC
it this way. Like, it took like how long did it take? Like, let's say sports to take off in the United States, right? Like the NFL in like 1950 was nothing, or it didn't even exist. I don't think. The first Super Bowl was nothing. You know, the baseball took off a long time ago, but now it's kind of like, you know, whatever. The golf took off because Tiger Woods. Let's be real here.
Huh. It took off even more once they found out about his girlfriend.
Take off. It just might take a little while. And now Blizzard's getting in on the ground floor. It's a big deal.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, you just need enough people that understand the games well enough that they can watch it. And I mean, and that sounds like a lot, but when you think about the rules of these other sports or poker or anything else we watch, like, they're not super simple rules. Like, maybe the rules themselves are fine, but like, you need to understand the strategy of those games to really be able to enjoy watching them. But I think what we've learned from sports is people are willing to invest time into learning the strategies. And a lot of these games, I think people will do the same thing. I mean, I don't play StarCraft, but I know enough of it that I really enjoy watching it.
And Blizzard has done a really good job of, we've already said it multiple times already in this one episode, is that they've done a good job of making their games accessible to a very casual player. So it's an easy transition into understanding your strategy and understanding how things work. So it's not entirely not feasible to think in 5 years, 10 years, we're going to be seeing esports 24/7.
Yeah, initially
on cable.
There's going to be a ridiculous amount of jock backlash.
Yeah, let them.
It's hard though, because like even when Heroes of the Dorm was on ESPN 2, right? That was like people enjoyed that. Like even a lot of the so-called jock announcers, were like hyping them up. I mean, some of them hated it, but some of them were like, "This is very interesting. Like, I don't know what I'm watching, but it's pretty cool."
Oh yeah. It doesn't take long. It doesn't, and that's the beauty about Blizzard games. Is it intrigues that. You know, I didn't know what I was watching with StarCraft when I was walking around BlizzCon, but as soon as I saw like these ships going across the map and they're blowing stuff up or whatever, and the crowd starts going nuts, you have no choice. It reaches out and it grabs your interest and it just shoves it right into its big esports boobs. So
yeah, I think the big thing also is the production value is going to be enormous with these guys.
Oh god,
you know?
yeah, it's going to be off the charts.
Yeah, it's
it
going to
really
be
is.
like you're going to see like Twizzcast, but for like professional gamers.
Exactly.
Like you're just gonna hear all about like the stats and stuff like that, and be like, oh, Cloud9 had 64 takedowns in 18 games. How,
There's going to be fantasy leagues about.
There already is fantasy leagues for League of Legends.
No way.
Yeah, there is.
Really?
Fantasy
God.
StarCraft.
Yep,
It's going to be interesting to see how in depth they go. Like they're going to be like, Bruiser on Cloud9. He did have meatloaf for lunch the other day, and we all know what happened last time. So I wonder how that's going to affect his gameplay. I mean, what kind of stats can you really kick around for this?
Are you kidding me? You ever watched a football game? They kick around some bad stats. They're like, oh, on the eve of every Tuesday after the bye week, whenever Jim calls, they win 50% of their games. You're like, that's a meaningless stat because you just said they win 50% of their games. And they're like, yeah, but it's telling right now.
God.
Because they kick around stats all the time. I once heard John Madden kicked around a stat where the team with the most points is going to win the game. Come on.
It's true.
Sounds about right.
It's true.
I love this announcement though, because I see like the landscape of esports as far as Blizzard is concerned up until now is all the League of Legends watchers and the Dota viewers are seeing Blizzard like really trying to come into the esports scene and kind of looking at them like, oh, that's cute, Blizzard. That's cute that you have 50,000 watchers. We have 250,000 people watching League of Legends. And I feel like this is Blizzard's one chance to be like, oh, that's cute, League of Legends. You're on Twitch. We're on ESPN.
And like you said, with the easier times to go around, like with the easier time to understand a Blizzard game, that's going to be big for casual viewers. Let's be real here. Because League of Legends, I can watch it and I can understand it because I played Heroes of the Storm. But I can't watch it and I don't really understand what's happening. I just watch it because it's there and it's like, oh yeah, it's kind of cool.
Sure.
But other people will be even more clueless than me and won't even be able to grasp it. Well, they can watch Heroes of the Storm. They can go down and download it and try it and be like, okay, I can kind of get this.
Yeah, that's what Blizzard has always understood is that most people, even gamers, are casuals. And that's who they appeal to.
And and that's actually a crazy, ridiculously good point you just made, Stutter. You can watch this and say, what is this game? This does look interesting. And you can walk over to your computer and you can download it. When you turn on bowling, it's like, okay, this is interesting. I could do this, but I don't want to go out and buy an $80 bowling ball. I don't want to get the glove. I don't want to have to drive over to the bowling lane and this and that. And it's like all the peak in interest in just trying to get into the sport is immediately lost once I know how much I have to go through to get what, just to try something like this. Whereas seeing something like this and seeing the crowd behind it and how much fun it can possibly be, I think it's great exposure and yeah. So
yeah.
I don't know. So we're pretty excited about the esports news. I think that's good. It's good for the gaming nation as a whole. But you can't take the good without the bad, everybody. It looks like there's a little bit of rough waters on the Sea of Love when it comes to Tempo Storm. You heard it here. The Daily Dot reported that manager Jared Zoaya Eggleston lifted the lid on problems during the broadcast of another Heroes of the Storm podcast. According to Eggleston, the team would have already made roster changes over 3 months ago, but it couldn't. Basically, Blizzard's rules stipulate that once a team qualifies for the Heroes World Championships, it cannot change its roster before the November event. Tempo Storm was on one of the first teams to qualify through the June Open, meaning that any changes would put the team at risk of losing the spot in the championship. With the roster stuck together, though, through BlizzCon, internal conflicts between the players have festered to the point where some reportedly can't stand being in one another's presence. According to Eggleston, there are players who refuse to practice or fulfill responsibilities. Even levying fines against the problem individuals hasn't changed their behavior. Roster changes are almost certain to come after the Heroes of the Storm World Championship, no matter how the team performs, with Eater and Buchter, the top candidates to leave. So
that's terrible. Knowing that you're going into the World Championship and you don't even have players that want to practice together. That is just awful.
You know what, though? It's your own fault for having a bad team. I'm sorry. It's right now. I'm saying it right now. I know. I listened to Zoya make this announcement on thing, and he was saying, "Oh, well, we should be able to make roster changes at any time." I'm sorry, every single professional sport you have trade deadlines. You are not allowed to make changes for this specific reason that you can go out and you can just pick up the best players, right? You have this organization with all powerful, right? In Korea, Samsung sponsors a team. You don't think Samsung's going to go, okay, now I'm going to buy every other team out there just so I can guarantee to win win the division? Like, you can't do it. It's your fault for having a team that did not synergize well.
Yeah.
They no, like it being a personal problem and the people not meshing well now, it may have been something that has arisen in that period of time. And I completely agree they shouldn't be able to change roster. That is not something up for debate at all. You had to be the ones who qualified, who are the ones who are going to be performing. But it's terrible, and I sympathize for that team of them not having really any chance in my mind. I would be astounded if they won anything, if they were able to advance at all, strictly because they're not meshing well and they're not practicing. I feel bad that some of the players that may not have started it or wanted to be in this kind of drama have to be a part of it. That's kind of where I'm sympathizing here.
Yeah. Eldorian mentions... Oh, sorry, you go ahead.
Yeah, Eldorian mentions that he's allowed 2 backups. They are allowed 2 backups on the roster. They didn't put any on the roster. They didn't put the subs on. That's their own fault too. If you could have had 2 subs and you could have put them right on, easy. But you didn't put any subs in your roster. It's your own fault. Also, we should say that Zoya. I'm sorry. I'm very heated because I think it's ridiculous. That
I can tell, dude. You're
yeah. He's like
your mustache is sweating and you don't even have one.
Well, it's like, man, Zoya himself, the manager, the team manager said, and Fugs brought this up, and he's right. He said, if you're gonna root for an NA team, root for Cloud9. You're the manager. You should never say that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's just like you have your opportunities.
Or
you didn't capitalize. Don't blame anyone.
How long do you go before you just throw in the towel too? And you know what? These whiny asses, I'm done with them. I'm done with them just as much as they're done with all this.
So what Twizz, if you're saying that you're done with them because they're done with it, that makes me think if they're breaking up, what are these members of Tempo Storm going to do when they leave? Because there's not really a large demand of professional gamers in the real world.
You know what? I actually I do agree with you at that. It is actually a pretty specific job where you have a specific set of skills. That should be used in a movie somewhere, I think. But I am sure that there's a few places of employment that they could fit in like a glove. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, off we go. The top 10 jobs that Tempo Storm team members can fall back on once they leave. Ringing in at number 10, the DMV. It's just like Tempo Storm. You sit in front of a computer, hating your life, and talking to people you don't like.
Number 9, any vineyard that's local to them. They can whine all day because they're supposed to.
That's the job.
Number 8, the Cloud9 water boy. Hey, somebody's got to do it.
It's
Number 7, a porta potty emptier. That is simply due to the experience of dishing out vast amounts of crap on a daily basis.
True.
Number 6, a NASCAR pit crew member. If wearing a coat with patches on is your thing, it's a good option.
It is. The number 5 job that Tempo Storm team members can fall back on when they leave, a country music singer. If you're going to cry about how bad your job is, you may as well do it through music.
Number 4, an official drug test administrator. As long as they have stream watching on their list of past experiences. Get it? Because like urine stream,
yeah.
but also like live streams.
Oh my god.
You're in trouble.
Oh god. It got worse when you explained it. Number 3, bowling ball manufacturer. Because that's the only industry where people care about all the size and the weight of your balls. You have with little to no decision. Sorry, I butchered that.
Number 2, a Dairy Queen counter person. This will be the closest affiliation to anything named Blizzard that they'll get to.
This is true. And the number 1 job that Tempo Storm team members can fall back on once they leave, the United States Congress. That way they can still get paid to hate their coworkers and continue to produce minimal life-changing results. By God, they're going to feel right at home. That's a thing. That is a thing. Today, we salute you, Mr. 3 frames per second man. Mr. 3 frames per second man. You dare dream of a world where the fire animation is something you can easily walk out of. Get out of the fire. You boldly embark on quests that take 4 times as long. I don't know if I'm still in combat. And one day, you'll actually be able to see your bobber dip when you fish. I don't know if I should click now. And Moonguard will no longer kick you due to FPS problems. Mail not up looking for fun. So here's to you, Mr. Sultan of Suck. DoghouseSystems.com can build you a rig and put you back in the game with the rest of us. You deserve it. Your raid team and arena team deserve it. And so do the rest of us. Mr. 3 frames per second, man. Go to DoghouseSystems.com and use the coupon code TWIZZ at checkout to double your memory. Twizzcast would also like to remind you to game responsibly.
Been sitting here copying the mail at the home 20.
Okay, we do have some emails, guys, that we are going to be discussing. And we're going to jump right into them because they are a little bit on the lengthy side. Again, I knew this was going to be a lengthy episode because, well, we missed last week. And frankly, if you're going to take the time to write into my show, by God, I'm going to take the time to read your email because you deserve that. So, you guys can drop us a line if you want, podcast@blizzpro.com. Now, the very first email that we got was from a gentleman, good friend of mine. His name is Dustin Turley. Now, if you've not listened to anything we've said in this entire podcast, I want you to listen to the words I'm about to say, okay? Dustin Turley and Rich Fisher they put together the Horde for Life podcast. If you are a Warcraft player and you are not listening to what these guys are saying and downloading their show, you are in the wrong. You want to talk about two guys that look at every angle of everything and analyze it and give ideas and blue sky theory crafting and stuff like that. These guys are the best. Dustin is one of the best. He's one of my favorite people, one of the greatest dudes that I know. So very ecstatic that he took the time to write in. And he says, "Hey guys, I was listening to episode 6 when you began digressing into how Blizzard should best handle the ever-expanding Hearthstone card database so that it does not devolve into a system of perfect deck lists, where many cards are never played again due to the card pool being so large. I was actually just asking myself the same question the other day while slogging through my daily quests. As someone who's not an avid Hearthstone player, that is to say I play very occasionally when I find time between Diablo and WoW, I get packs of cards from things like arena runs, tavern brawls, and purchasing packs using gold earned from dailies. I pride myself on being able to play and enjoy the game without having to sink real-world cash into it. As the game evolves and becomes larger, however, the card pool is only going to increase. The card abilities are only going to get better. The new mechanics and gameplay elements will be added that are exciting and fresh. And when you add the aforementioned things, it forces players to get these new cards to remain competitive, which I know is by design, since after all, Blizzard is a business. I have no problem with keeping their brand fresh while at the same time continuing potential cash flow. I simply see the potential problem that you guys saw, which is how do you continue to grow the game with and the brand while at the same time keeping the game accessible to new players? I was very competitive in Magic the Gathering, up until about 5 years ago when I decided to start a family. I sunk thousands of dollars into cards in order to stay competitive in the standard Type 2 format, which allows only cards from the last 2 expansion blocks and the current base set to be used in decks. This gets to be quite a strain on the pocketbook when you have a family to support, and I can't live on Hot Pockets alone. Now that I've stabilized my finances, I try to get back into the game and simply find that I can't unless I sink a bunch of money into current card sets. Now, unlike Wizards of the Coast, Blizzard is in the unique position to change the card text on the fly, like we saw earlier with the Warsong Commander, but is it enough? My question to you guys is, how does Blizzard avoid the same trope and keep their awesome game accessible to brand new players? Is it possible for them to continue to add card sets of 100 or 150 cards at a time and still have someone to pick up the game for the first time and not get curb stomped? I know this is a little long. I know this was a long one, but I really appreciate your thoughts on it. Keep up the awesome work. P.S. I already told you this, but we're gonna miss you at BlizzCon this year, Twizz.
Oh, why'd you have to bring it up? I miss BlizzCon.
I know. So, Stutter, what are your thoughts on? I have a couple of thoughts on this, but what are your thoughts on this initially?
I mean, my initial thoughts are you got to find a way. First off, you have to play the base set no matter what, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't get rid of the base set because everyone learns off the base set, and it's like you go in, and that's where you get a lot of your first cards. So every single season, no matter what, you have to play the base set. But I think you just do. My opinion is you just do 2 random expansions every time. So you do an adventure expansion tied to a other card expansion, and then you have to make your deck out of that set of pools. And then they just switch it around. And then they also add in the most recent expansion, whether it be adventure or card set.
Well, here's my thoughts on this, and I agree. I think that's a very logical path for us to travel down. Here's my thing. For a new player, if you get into this game and it is your jam, I mean, it is your thing. You're like, wow, this is a game changer for my life. You are going to invest money into this, and you are going to make sure you have those cards, just like Dustin did when he said he was a Magic the Gathering player. And he also mentioned in his, I play very occasionally when I find time between Diablo and WoW. So this is not his jam, okay? This is not his main thing. When it is your main thing, you're going to spend money on it. It is your hobby, just like you talked earlier, Archon. It is your lifeblood. It's the go-to game for you. You love it because you can sit in front of your computer and play it. You can sit in the bathroom and play it. You can wherever.
Well,
and so that's why people are going to sink money. If it's not your thing, if it's not your jam, then guess what? You're expanding your card base just like you are, Dustin, by doing arena runs and doing your daily quests and stuff like that. And whether you win or lose, it really doesn't have very much of a bearing because you're not trying to be competitive in it. It's when you're trying to be competitive and you want that edge and you've dedicated yourself to this game, and that's where you're going to spend money. That's why it's almost like it's a free to try and see if it's your jam. We got plenty of stuff for you if it is your jam and you want to spend the money. But if it's not, have fun and kick it around the tavern.
You bring up a good point, but you're forgetting that we're getting to the time of perfect decks, right? So like this last expansion had 150 cards. We only use like 13 of them at most, right? So next expansion, you assume that we're going to use less percentage-wise. So
Right.
if they make all those cards in the future, they either have to make them all really overpowered and way better than all the cards we have now, or they have to make it so we're only going to use a few cards, and so 6, 5. Eventually, we're going to get expansions of 150 cards.
You're not going to avoid that.
All of them unplayable.
You're not going to avoid the perfect deck scenario. It's been like that since season 1. There was a perfect deck that was found.
Well, my point is the perfect deck is taking less cards out of the new expansions.
Right, but Blizzard also, and Ben Brode has come right out and said it, that a lot of these cards were not meant to be in top tier deck lists. They're meant for what was it? Was it the Squire? Or something like that? Like they said straight out, like this card was not meant. It's not meant to be in a top tier deck for competitive gameplay. So what is it? But by adding those, it
nobody
added.
uses the deck anymore.
What's that?
Nobody uses the card at all ever. That's the problem.
It's
that's
used
a
for
weird
arena
thing to
choice. And you know what? It's also a card that gets used because you look at some of these battle cries and you look at how some of these cards, and you get an idea for a deck, and you're like, I wonder if this would work. And it's a card that nobody sees and nobody would expect and stuff like that. And that's what gets the creative juices flowing.
The answer is no.
The answer is 12.
The answer is sometimes blue.
Like I like the I don't know, that's so weird to me, the idea that the game designers are designing cards that aren't supposed to be used in competitive play. It's you're kind of like saying like this card is inferior. If you use it, your deck is suffering because of it, and that's what we intended.
I don't know what it was meant by it, but he came right out and said like this is not this particular card, and I don't even remember what I think it was that Squire, that 1/2 that gains attack power if you use your hero power. I think that might have been the one he was talking about. I can't remember for sure. I'm sure somebody listening or knows exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, he came right out and said, like this card is we knew making it was most likely not going to be for competitive gameplay.
I mean, that's fine. But the thing is everyone plays competitive decks. That's the problem on the ladder, right? I'll go into rank 19 these days or rank 20, and people will be playing competitive decks, and it's like, are you kidding me?
I get it, but that's not the only part of this game. There's Tavern Brawl. There is Arena. And
That's
both
true.
of
With
those,
Arena, I can understand.
right? And there's people that just Arena. That's all they do. And so
It's just, I don't know. It just seems.
But then there's
crazy.
also there's that, and then there's also you have to have a card base for. I mean, like they said, this one card's not intended for this particular this high end deck. It's not going to be put in a high end deck. But there might be a Tavern Brawl where guess what? That's like one of the best cards you can get because of the goal of the Tavern Brawl. So, I mean, it's a multi-edged sword, if that makes sense.
That's why I think you got to limit the segments, right? So you don't want to make all the cards useless, but you want to make them play to certain rounds. Like you have seasons that are months long; they're so short.
Yeah,
that's why you get the benefit of having those short seasons, which a lot of people hate, but more people like. I guess apparently, I don't know, but like you get those benefits that you can just cycle through all of your different expansions.
Well, I agree with what you're saying. Also, we are ignorant to the fact of what is coming down the pipe. What does Blizzard have in store for us when it comes to Hearthstone? We just got done talking about co-op modes and potential co-op modes and stuff like that, where if you are playing with somebody, maybe this card is useless as a high-end or high-tier deck card, but in a group setting versus a boss or something like that, this card might be more useful. So,
Maybe
I don't know.
Maybe even add more cards into the deck. That's another way to do it.
That's true.
But then eventually you're going to have to keep on doing that as more expansions come out. But like you got to think like we're getting to the point where 150 cards were released, 13 to 15 cards were played or something like that. I don't remember the exact thing, but it was a really low amount, right? So it's like less than 20%. Or way less than 20% actually. And if it keeps on decreasing that rate at a year, because we first got our first, real expansion.
Well, after another year or two, dude, you're going to hit turn 7, and it's like, well, you're either going to drop Dr. Boom, or you're going to drop this, or you're going to drop that.
That's what I'm getting to the point at, where it's like, as you release more cards, it just happens like that. So it's like either you got to make every card in the new expansion way more powerful, or you got to start limiting your card pool. Yeah. And that's what I think the way you do it is limit your card pool, because then people still get to play with those old fun cards, but people don't get to play. Or people will get to play with the newest one, the basic one, so when people come in, they still got the basic one, and then 2 other random ones. And I think that's just, I don't know. I personally think that would be a great place to start. It might not work perfectly, but I think that's the way to go.
Yeah. Well, we went off on a little bit of a rabbit trail, but I think everybody kind of follows how we got there, and it turned into some good theory crafting. So, anyways,
Blizzard pay us for that.
Yeah, they should. So again, Dustin, thank you very much for sending that in, and again, check out Horde for Life podcast, guys. Seriously, some of the best podcasting you're going to run into as far as World of Warcraft goes. The next one we got is from Owen, and he says, "Hey everybody, just emailing you to say hello. Really, my name is Owen. And he says it's pronounced Owen. It's spelled Eoin. And he says it's Irish. So he says I'm listening to your show from London, England. I've been a fan and listener to Twizzcast for a long time now, but have never been in touch before. So I thought now is a good time, as ever, to throw over an email. I used to listen to your podcast while playing Diablo 3, WoW, or Heroes of the Storm when I was a university student. However, I recently graduated and gotten a job in PR that takes up far more of my time. Due to having far less time on my hands than previously, this has turned me into what the masses call a filthy casual. However, I still love listening to your podcast on the commute to and from work. It really makes me smile knowing you guys have built such a community around the games you love. And when I listen, I can't help but look forward to going home and diving into these games that give such happiness to so many. Keep up the good work, and thanks again for thanks again to all of you for sharing the Blizzard love. I do have a question that I'd love to ask you all. What hero would you love to see come to Heroes of the Storm in the future? So we'll start it there. What hero? Reb, Lore Master 5 billion. You've got to have somebody.
I actually, the two thoughts that I have, you'd be surprised, are not major lore figures. I saw on Twitter, I want to say it was last week, that somebody came up with a drawing for like a training dummy, and kind of how it would look if it were able to move through, and maybe you had an ability where you could block incoming attacks, or keep the enemies away from your teammates. And I think that would be really cool to incorporate. And kind of thinking of something original that I could kind of see happening is if they did a Lost Vikings type character that was 3 mini characters, and they were Grummels from Mist of Pandaria. And let's say that the Grummels eventually could come together and get on a grand expedition yak. I think that would just be so cool, because it's a 3-person mount in Warcraft. So I think that would be so nifty. And the Grummels were probably one of my favorite type of races that were ever implemented into the game, just because they're silly and they're fun.
War Chief Vol'jin is in the chat room, and I think he needs to make an appearance in Heroes of the Storm.
Oh, that's true.
I would love to play me some Vol'jin. There's no doubt about it. But actually, I wouldn't mind. I don't even care who it is from lore or whatever. I'd like to see me some space goats running around. Some Draenei.
Them Draenies.
I'd like to see some. I think it would be. I don't know.
I think a Prophet Velin would be a pretty good addition. Something to play with.
I think you got to go more unique. The Filthy Casual.
Ooh.
It's gonna be a guy that occasionally gets dragged off screen to go attend to baby and wife aggro.
Exactly.
Well, that's his teleport. Wait, that's
his teleport. Yes, that's his teleport.
Okay.
Boom.
How about you, Archon? Anybody from the Diablo world, especially? You're muted as hell, dude.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I wanted the suspense to build before I gave this epic answer. I think sorry to abandon Diablo players here, but I think definitely we're about to get a slew of Overwatch characters into Heroes of the Storm.
That would be
Tracer. Tracer. No, I'm sorry. I'm too hipster for Tracer. She's everyone's favorite.
Yeah.
My favorite. Yeah, I get it, but sorry, I'm too much hipster. My favorite Overwatch hero is Bastion, but I feel like Bastion's too close to a siege tank. So I'm going to go with Torbjorn, who puts up turrets, because I think that'd be really cool to just build some turrets and then stand back and defend them.
Isn't that what Gazlo does?
That's what Gazlo does.
Yeah.
Okay, well, then in that case...
Who's the DJ? The DJ character? Lucian or Lucio?
Lucio.
Yeah,
that'd be a cool one.
He DJs it up, kind of like ETC's Rock Out.
Yeah, that'd be. Yeah,
there's so many places.
Compare every character to another character that
already
exists.
that already exists.
They start doing Overwatch. They start doing Overwatch maps and stuff like that in Heroes of the Storm. Heroes of the Storm is gonna bust wide the F open.
Oh, it's gonna happen fast too, I think.
God.
I mean, it's the perfect time to capitalize on it right now, because everyone's gonna want to get into the beta, so they can just be like, "Oh, you're not in the beta yet, but you can play it." And Heroes of the Storm. You only have
$15.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds about right.
One of the other questions that he says is, well, he went on to talk about how the Blizzard universe is so vast and etc. He said, I myself would love to see Chromie added to the game. I'm sure the developers would come up with some great mechanics for her. So I would agree there. That's a good pick. Also, he wants to know, do you ever do anything on the EU servers? As he said, he's been a big fan for some time now. However, all of his games and characters are on the European servers, and given the subpar internet connection that he has, lag's a serious issue. You know what? I mean, I can only tie my money up in one spot. If I had the bottomless wallet, yeah, I would have things going on EU servers and hanging out and whatever, because honestly, like even Fugs, I think Fugs plays NA, but talking to people who are on a different stinking continent is awesome. I would love to play with those people. I've spoken with so many awesome people since I started doing Twizzcast. I've got friends in England, in Scotland, in Ireland, in what was the other one? I don't know, probably Afghanistan or something. Well, I just mentioned. Oh, I didn't say he was from Australia. Okay. Touche, Reb. But yeah, I can only tie my money up in one place, and that's NA. How about you guys? Do you have anything on EU servers or anything like that?
No, unfortunately, like you said, my pockets can only be tied up so much.
Yeah.
When I streamed Diablo, I had characters on EU but it was only when like the US servers were down. I guess I'm like, I might as well play EU.
Yeah.
Can't play US.
Yeah.
I have the same thing with Hearthstone. I have a few, things over there. I think I have like a surprise. I have a hunter deck over there.
Jeez. Have you no
Face hunter?
shame?
I mean, it was cheap, right? It's a cheap deck.
Yeah, it's true. It doesn't. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of crafting costs there.
Yeah.
But anyways, well, thank you very much, Owen, for writing in. Certainly appreciate it. From England. How awesome are you, dude? So thank you very much for listening, man, and feel free to hit us up anytime. Last one we got is from Jason F, and he said, "Hey, Twizz, got the scoop." I just got the scoop that Patron Warrior will pretty much be no more. They're making Warsong Commander now read, give your charge minions +1 attack. You play Patron, I do too, so this hurts. I feel Face Hunter is a much bigger threat than Patron Warrior ever was. Just thought you'd want to discuss this on your show. In fact, I know you will. I'm sure Studs already knows. Cheers, bud, from Toronto, Jason F. So, the Patron Warrior, we talked a little bit more about it earlier than what we were planning on doing. But I think one of the things that you said, Stutter, was Patron Warrior made aggro worse.
Yeah, it did. And it kind of sucks that it lost that check. And if you watch all the streams, like, you guys remember Miracle Rogue back in the day?
Oh yeah,
I'm sure.
Yeah.
It got countered. A card like, these things get countered these days. I mean, and then they nerf them after they already get countered. So it's like, well, that's kind of pointless. It's like it was getting figured out, right? I mean, it was still a very powerful deck that you had to learn. You had to spend a lot of time figuring out. But it
doesn't that kind of like lock the meta into a certain place where that counter has to always be part of the meta from that point forward?
But like, sort of. But like, think about it this way: it's like rock paper scissors, right? So you have Patron Warrior that beats aggro. Then to beat Patron Warrior, let's say you play Handlock, and then to beat Handlock, you play aggro.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a rock, paper, scissor, where instead of just 3 items, there are like 100, but only 3 of them are in play at once. And if rock is really powerful, then paper can never go away, and you're kind of locked with paper.
Yeah, but what they did was they just said, okay, let's get rid of rock. Rock's not there. Now everyone's going to play scissors because scissors cuts paper.
Yeah, but it gives them the opportunity to make the meta more fluid instead of making it so that paper is always one of the 3 items.
Then you got people like me who are sitting over in the corner trying to make a glue deck.
Yeah, I mean, I can see what you're going for with like the nerfing, and the thing is, in Hearthstone, they don't nerf for. You've heard Benbro say this before. They don't nerf because of something is, too powerful or it's like ruining the meta or whatever like that. Then most of the time they nerf because it's not fun to play against.
Yeah. Well, I think they held some ground though earlier when they said that, Patron Warrior is not an easy deck to play, and according to them, the win rate wasn't high enough to warrant a change or something like that. And I agree that deck is difficult to change. Or difficult to play. I'm sorry, excuse me. And so I bought that. I mean, I bought that wholeheartedly. It is what it is. So you either have all the cards and you drop Emperor Thaurissan when it needs to get dropped, or you don't. I mean, I played against a lot of Patron Warriors, and they sucked fatty knob, dude. They were horrible. And
I think that's a good argument for casual players, but it's a completely different scene in the competitive world, right?
Yeah.
Like hard deck to play doesn't really apply when you're talking about people who are legend or high rank in general.
But even if you talk to the people who are high rank, like I played it okay, but like you talk to those people and they're like, I've spent tens of thousands of games playing this and I still don't have it perfected.
Huh.
Well, right, because you never know what you're going to run into next.
Yeah.
The RNG, you can never play it perfect.
Exactly.
So
it just kind of like happens, it's, I don't know. I think it was, I'm surprised they nerfed it also this close to BlizzCon. Gonna be honest.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Because a lot of these players got here on Patron Warrior, right?
No?
On the back of Patron, you didn't qualify for BlizzCon. if you didn't play Patreon Warrior or know how to play against it.
Yeah. Reb, you look bored as hell.
I'm telling you. It's a struggle right now. It really is.
She's getting tired.
Reb, you just gotta be like me. You don't have to know anything about Hearthstone. You just pretend you do.
Exactly.
Just so you can be part of the conversation.
It's not a lack of knowledge of Hearthstone. It's not liking Hearthstone.
Yeah.
I just don't enjoy it. I don't derive any pleasure from it.
I can't say I blame you there.
I said, I almost me to get you to Legend.
I almost uninstalled it twice this week. So, anyways, well, Jason, thank you so much, brother, for writing in and hanging out with us and interacting with us. So. One of the other things that I do like to do in a big way, and that is talk about some of our iTunes reviews. Okay, now when you guys go on to onto the old iTunes, there you can give us a 5-star rating, and that helps out people finding us. And this week we got one from Luke from Aspen. It was a 5-star review that said, "The combination of all the experts on the various Blizzard games is fantastic. Keep it up, gents and lady." So thank you very, very much, Luke from Aspen. Thank you very much for that, and certainly appreciate that. That absolutely helps us. What am I doing here? Yeah, 5-star reviews are absolutely huge. So that's going to do it for this show. Here we are, 2 hours and 15 minutes later. I knew it was gonna be a rock star of a show, guys. So those of you in the chat room, thanks so much for hanging out with us and everything like that. Stick around for the after hours. I don't know what that's going to consist of. I definitely think we should watch that NASCAR troll thing. That should be that should be pretty good. So
it's gonna happen.
Yeah. Archon, do you have anything that you would like to say for in front of the world and God and creation before we're out of here?
Yeah, I meant to say it during the Overwatch part, but it kind of slipped my mind that me and my brothers are going to be streaming and making YouTube videos for Overwatch like crazy, like a dangerous amount. So you can check me out on twitch.tv/Archon the Wizard, and you can see our website at overwatchbros.com. Get it? Because we're brothers.
Oh, yeah, I got it.
That's fine.
I see.
All right. Anyways, yeah, may all of your drops be legendary. May all of your legendaries roll ancient.
And how about you, Reb?
Yes, I'd like to say that if you would like to keep in contact with me for all things not Hearthstone related, you can find me on Twitter at TankThatReb. I'd like to give a shout out real quick to my friend Battle Panda BP. He hasn't been able to join us in the chat room because work is very busy. Hope things alleviate with that, and can't wait to see you at BlizzCon. And with everybody else, I would like to say, by fire be fabulous, Reb Neros has spoken.
And how about you, Mr. Stutter?
Archon, is it my brothers and me or my brothers and I?
It's my brothers and I. Well, no, it depends on the context.
Anyways, get weird with it, guys.
Get weird with it. I like it in a big way. So, guys, thanks so much for tuning in to Twizzcast. Make sure you tell your friends. And so, in the meantime, until next Monday night, everybody, please game safe, love one another, and everyone within the sound of my voice, take care. See you next week.
Oh,
it is
man.
about that time, ladies and gentlemen. He went to Jared. Alright, I may as well stop the recording now. So, if you guys are watching this, you need to come and hang out in the after hours. All these people here are going to watch the after hours right now, and you're not going to because I'm going to shut it off. So, anyways, see ya.